All right, welcome to the 5-day challenge, and this is day number 1. Yes, it just frozen a few times, but we're gonna make this work no matter what. All right, so let's begin. All right, this thing needs a thumbnail. I'm gonna put a thumbnail here. So this is my first ever challenge that we have, and I'm gonna make 5 predictions for 2025. All right, now there's a thumbnail here, and whenever you hear us, say hi so I can see who you are. Okay, I'm gonna put hello. Welcome to the challenge. Welcome to the challenge. So let's get some music up here. Oh, it's already playing. Hopefully you guys could hear it. All right, let's start again. We're gonna make this work no matter what. So April the 2nd isn't just another day. It's a start of something that could secretly destroy your confident tonality. You're like, what do you mean, John? How can it destroy your confident tonality? Well, it's very simple, because today is the day of Trump's tariffs. You're like, really? This is the very first day of Donald Trump's tariff. So that means his tariffs are not that bad. Hey, what's up, man? So, hey, man. All right, challenge begins. Finally. So since it's Donald Trump's tariffs, I'm going to teach you exactly why people are stuck. So let me just put some captions over here. So day 1, there it is. Boom, right there. Excellent. So on the side, you can see day 1 challenge. Now, I'm just brand new to this. This is a new streaming software my other student told me to use. So today's Trump's tariffs aren't just about politics or economic stuff, right? They're about you. Think I'm exaggerating? Let's prove it with my first prediction. I made many predictions before, and they're all accurate. I even said Trump wanted a 3rd term, right? And look what's happening. I said that Trump, he will have an assassination attempt twice. Look what happened. So many predictions have happened. So let me prove it to you with my first prediction in this 5-day challenge series. Inflation and financial stress don't just hit your wallet, they rewire your brain. They wreck your hormones and silently sabotage your dating life. That's right. So if you've been struggling with confidence, if women don't seem to respond to you the way they used to or at all, this could be the reason. Because when the cortisol rises, testosterone drops. And when testosterone drops, so is your balls, no joking. So does your presence, your swagger, and your ability to command attention from women. That's right. So you might be wondering, well, what does that have to do with day game or tonality? Well, let me explain. Economic factors like the inflation and tariffs don't just affect your wallet. They affect your stress levels, your confidence, and ultimately your tonality. That's right. So what's your thoughts on Trump's tariffs? I think my prediction is that the tariffs are going to make so much money for America. You guys may be afraid, thinking, oh no, there's going to be tariffs, right? Everyone's going to go into a recession. My prediction is that this tariff is going to first nosedive a little bit, the plane, but then it's going to pull up just before it hits the ground, and the United States will have the biggest economic boom, the biggest golden age in the history, because the tariffs are only half of whatever people are charging the United States. So people thought, oh no, they give 50% to Trump or America, they're gonna give back 50%. No, it's 25%. So somebody's 60, then they're 30. So therefore, they still collect money. And also, it'll force the other countries to trade properly. So you guys should not worry, because it's a golden age for day game right now. It's not a time to quit. It is a time to begin. This is the time. This is like, finally, we can see the sun. It's reflecting off of my head. There's a window back there. I haven't covered it. So if the sun is out, you should be approaching. You should not be backing down or saving your money. You should be investing your money. That's my prediction for the tariffs. Anyways, as we're saying, let's make this a moment to think about the last 2 years. Inflation has been a silent killer for many men's dating lives. I mean, definitely during the inflation. That happened from 2023, 2024, 2025. It is not just about the rising costs or the financial stress. It goes much deeper than that. Inflation doesn't just hit your bank account. It hits your hormones. You're like, well, what are you talking about? Hit your hormones, John? This doesn't make any sense. Hormones? What does hormones have to do with game strategy or game techniques or any of that stuff? It's like, we don't get it. So you're saying it is affecting the tonality to some degree. Are you saying that? And that's exactly what I'm saying. I'm saying that there is something impacted, and that is your hormones. Okay, now you're probably thinking to yourself, well, what does that mean, hormones? I don't get it. Don't worry, I'll explain. So, all right, just posting a link to this one. So it sneaks up on your life in ways you don't even realize. Now you're gonna see, what does hormones have to do with you struggling with day game? You're gonna be freaked out. You'll be like, wait a minute. Hormones is the reason why day game became so hard? That doesn't make any sense, John. Hormones? What are you talking about? Hair's looking slick today. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. So let's talk about hormones. You're like, what the fuck, John? Who cares about hormones? That's the weirdest thing I've ever heard in my life, you're probably thinking. Hormones, that's the last thing that anybody should be thinking about. But no, hormones are 100% related, and we're gonna get into that. So let me just, hold on a second. Okay, I cannot technically click on this. Fuck, John. Do you guys hear music? Who cares about hormones? That's the weirdest thing I've ever heard in my... It's working. So yeah, another student told me to use this program. I'm just gonna start moving this to the other groups. Yo, the challenge is starting. Join right now. All right, I'm gonna move this to the second WhatsApp group. All right. So let's talk about it. When cost goes up, the stress goes up. You're like, well, okay, but I still don't get it. And when the stress goes up, the cortisol level rises. So when your cortisol, your stress hormone, that's what it is. Cortisol is a very, very nasty hormone. It will rise. And when that happens, it's the hormones that your body produces when you're under pressure. What's causing the pressure? Here's the problem. When cortisol rises, the testosterone drops. Testosterone is your confidence hormone. Every single time that you start accomplishing something and not being ADHD, and you actually focus and you complete your task, you will get more testosterone. You have more of a square jawline. You'll be more aggressive. You're gonna take more risk and more action. You're not gonna run away. That's what happens when you have more cortisol. Like, okay, now it's making a little bit of sense, John, but we don't fully get it. So testosterone is what gives you that edge, that swagger, that ability to project high status. So when cortisol is high, and that's not a good thing, that's a stress hormone, and testosterone is low, you're already at a disadvantage. You might not even realize it, but this hormonal imbalance is affecting everything. It's affecting how you carry yourself for your body language. It affects how you interact with women. And most importantly, it is affecting how you sound like when you speak. So let's focus on that for a second. How you sound like when you speak. Because tonality is everything. I always say to other people that tonality is destiny. Your destiny is determined by your tonality. And in 2025, this is the biggest limiting factor. It wasn't more body language. It wasn't more social skills. It wasn't definitely not more game tactics. It is your tonality. and is affected by your hormones. And you're like, well, really? That's right. It's affected by your hormones. So, let me see. Yo, give it a like and watch it. So, I'm just going to send it to more people so they know about this challenge. I thought I pushed it enough, but maybe not. I didn't use email marketing. My mistake. My mistake. So, I'm just going to send it to a few more people right now. There's so many people to send to. All right. As I was saying, because tonality is destiny. It's the first thing women notice about you. Even before they process your words, they're already judging you based on your tonality. Like, really? Is that important? It is very, very important. I would say that tonality is like, right now, it could be the very thing that goes and raises your score because you have a good whitewash tonality. But it can also be the very thing that can minus your points because looks is out of 10. Money is out of 5. Status is out of 10. Social skills is 2.5. Social calibrations is 2.5. Emotions or emotional control is 2.5 points. But what can be given can be taken away. What I mean by that is just because it's 2.5 points, when an inflation hits and affects your state of mind, the very first thing that's going to happen is that it's going to affect your tonality. So your points, your plus 2.5 points that you practice for the whitewash tonality, that's taken away. Now it's like -1 or -1.5 if you sound angry around women. You know, like I had former students that sounded very angry and they cannot hear it. They're delusional, completely delusional. They cannot hear their mistakes. And you can be like -2 points if you talk super fast. We're going to go over all the aspects of mistakes down to every detail. No stones left unturned. So, your tonality is like a signal. It tells her everything that she needs to know about your confidence, your status, and your emotional state. That's right. If your tonality is off, she'll subconsciously feel that something is wrong with you. She might not be able to explain it, but she'll feel it. And that feeling alone is enough to turn her off. That's right. Think about it for a second. You could be saying all the right words. Everything sounds perfect. Your game is perfect. You have the perfect hybrid opener. Excuse me real quick. I have a question. I was looking for a place called Zara. Do you know where I can find it? Blah, 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 blah. It's over there. Blah. Oh, by the way, I just noticed something about you. What? I just noticed you have red hair and you have freckles. Are you Irish by any chance? Oh, no. Blah, 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 blah. Hey, I know this is very random, but, you know, I'm in a good mood, so I had a good day. That's why I want to talk to you. Oh, it's okay. Disarmed. But your tonality could be really bad. You could be, like, super fast. Excuse me real quick, I have a question. I was looking for a place called Zara. Do you know where I can find it? Blah, blah, blah. Oh, by the way, I just noticed something about you. I just noticed that you are X plus Y or Z. Hey, I know this is really random, but I just had a good day. Anyways, I was it's like, you could be like that. And you may not realize why that is bad. But that's how most of my students this year sounds like during the 2025 tariff. Not inflation anymore. Because last year I got 56 laden poll testimonials. We're talking about the tariff. Tariff starts today. That's why I didn't make this video yesterday, because yesterday is April Fool's Day. Today is tariff day. The very first day of the tariffs. So it's gonna affect your tonality. And if you don't know these things, you're gonna get stuck. So I'm gonna tell you everything that you need to know for this challenge. This prediction, I'm gonna tell you everything. So let's go into detail. Let's deep dive into this. You could have the perfect opener, the perfect line, but your tonality doesn't match, and none of that matters. She won't even hear the words. She'll hear the insecurities behind them. She'll hear the stress in your voice, the uncertainty, and the lack of confidence. And here's the thing, women are incredibly perceptive. That's right. They can pick up on these subtle cues without even realizing it. And they have a sixth sense for tonality. So if your voice is signaling that you're stressed, or you're defeated, or you're unsure of yourself because you have some doubt, confidence is the opposite of doubt. She will feel it immediately. And that's the problem. So today is April the 2nd. It is the first day of Donald Trump's tariffs. The very, very first day. It is the perfect time to make this challenge. And today's, lesson, we're gonna have to deal with this one. This is the biggest one. So if this thing is fixed, then the late testimonials will flood in again for me. And then people will just keep getting laid. If there was only a solution. But some of you might feel like this is just another thing to stress about. Like, oh shit. Oh no, another tariff. What if there's a recession? Better hold on to your money. Better start bench holding. Better start getting triggered. Nope. It's just another obstacle in an already challenging world. We had the pandemic. We had the inflation. And now we have the fucking tariffs. But it's okay because I still believe, like somebody asked me over there, I believe that there's going to be a big golden age. There's going to be a huge golden age. And don't forget, if you guys want to ask any questions, you can do so. So over here, as it says over there, if you want to ask a question, you just write the word question first, and I'll read it all out later. At the end of this stream, I'm going to read out every single question one by one and go over everything. So go ahead and ask your questions. So, as I'm saying, here's the truth. While others panic or rage quit Daygame, they MGTOW. Okay? Oh shit, I got chapped lips. This is your chance to rise above. This is your opportunity to separate yourself from the pack. So, that's fine. Because here's the thing, tonality is destiny. It's not just about how you sound. It's about how you feel. Wait, this doesn't make any sense. Feel? What does feelings got to do with it, John? I'm going to tell you everything. And how you feel is directly tied to how you're living your life. Let me explain. That's something that's important. There's a concept called the winner and loser effect. You probably heard of it. I said it many times. But for those of you who have never heard of this concept, it's going to make a lot of sense. You're going to think, well, there's no such thing as a winner and loser effect, John. Is there? Well, let's take a look. Because this is not bullshit. This is not just something I'm making up. This is actually a real thing. So, all right, check out the replay. So, what is the winner and loser effect? Let's look at Google, okay? Winner and loser effect. Just to let you know, it's not something I'm just making up. Okay? So, I'm going to look at Wikipedia. This is not bullshit. I promise. I'm not making up this concept. This is science. And this is the science you're all experiencing. Because once you understand this science, everything finally makes perfect sense. The winner and loser effect is an aggression phenomenon in which the winner effect is the increased probability that the animal will win future aggressive interactions after experiencing previous wins. So basically what they're saying is the winner wins more. The losers will lose more. And you're like, okay, that's a great question. I'll be answering that later on. Okay? So if you really, really want more information, right? You can always ask me for a strategy session or something. Okay? On my website, let me take a look. That's a good question. I can answer over there on a strategy session. So let me take a look where it is. It should be right here. I'll send you guys a link for the contact me page. So if you want to ask me again in detail, I can go for 15 minutes in detail. and tell you exactly. Everyone can ask me one question only. I'll answer it for 15 minutes completely. So you better pick your answer correctly. So it's free, it doesn't cost you anything. You don't have to buy anything. But it's good to talk to my audience. All right. So as I was saying about the winner or loser effect, is an aggression phenomenon in which the winner effects is the increased probability that the animal will win future aggressive interactions after experiencing previous wins. The loser effect is increased the probability that the animal will lose future aggressive interactions after experiencing previous losses. Like, really? Absolutely. Overall, these effects can either increase or decrease an animal's aggressive behavior. Animals such as, okay, so let's talk about hormonal stimulation, because that's the important thing. It doesn't matter how logical things are, right? It doesn't matter. What if you really have a deep accent from birth, but you can't? Can you please write that as a question? Write the question word first so I can go back into it. I only read it if you write the question. So let me just put the captions for you. That's a great question. Or you can contact me, right? In the contact me page afterwards. I can answer your questions privately too. That's not a problem. So, oh yeah, it's already up there. See the bottom of this? It says make all the questions. Just write the word question and just copy and paste that. Okay? For certified fitness. And I'll answer that. But that's a very good question. So, you guys hear me? So it's not always the accent. We'll just answer a little bit, okay? There's two things. Number one, it is the accent, right? But everyone will blame the accent. Number two, sometimes it's not the accent, it's the vocal abilities, your vocal tonality, the way you speak. So there are some Vietnamese students, for example, when they speak English, they kind of talk like this, like everything is backwards, like that's how they talk like. So even if they had an accent and they just speak through everything, they sing it like a song. Excuse me real quick, John, I am Vietnamese, but then everything starts to sound clearer. You get it? If you can sing through it, then the accent disappears, because singers in general, they don't actually have an accent. Look at Dua Lipa or look at Ozzy Osbourne, right? When they sing through it, British people, like the British people, when they start speaking and then they start singing a song, the accent disappears. So I can hear it now. Cut off for a second. Okay, that's good. That's good. I hope that answers your question. All accents can disappear because people that have an accent, they don't move their mouths a lot. It's almost like it's very lazy over here. So when they say tree, right? They say tree, 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 like this. They don't say tree like a whitewashed person like me. Tree. They go tree, tree. Like Russians will have a nice tree over there. Indians, they have a nice tree. They don't move their mouth. Asians, oh, they have a nice tree. A nice tree. Okay, I don't know why it keeps switching the microphone. Okay, let me check. Let me look at the audio. It should be on this one, okay? So I gotta make sure this thing's not like falling off. But as I was saying, because they don't move their mouths, they don't sing. So basically, let's talk about the hormonal stimulation, okay? Hopefully the sound's back. I just saw it leaving for a second. In some animals, the winner and loser effects have been shown to cause hormonal differences in the blood plasma. You're like, what do you mean blood plasma, John? Hormones like cortisosterone, that's cortisol, are found to be higher in animals experiencing the loser effect. Those experiencing the winner effect. So you're saying that losers will have more of a hormonal imbalance. It's almost like a cortisol scorecard. The more double chin that you have and the more weight gain you have, that's a sign of cortisol stress. Cushing syndrome. You see that? So this is real. Cortisosterone is a stress hormone that is likely raised due to the implication of a loss in animals experiencing the loser effect. So what can make you lose? Many things can make you lose. You could be delusional due to low self-esteem. You could be half-assing it, not finishing things, not breaking the bad habits like drills and exercises. You might not be breaking the habits. So, for example, you could even make bad decisions that fail in 4 months and it completely crashes and burns. And then you're going to experience loss. And you can quit and you experience more loss. It's a downward spiral. It's a big downward spiral. A downward spiral that you don't want to be part of. I'll just hold it like this. So, some researchers even suggest this increased level of cortisol caused by the loser effect inhibits. Okay, so why? Okay, so something's happening with the speakers. Okay, I'm not sure what's happening, but it's switching out all the time. Hopefully, they can still hear me. Can you guys still hear me? Hopefully, you can still hear me, loud and clear. But we're having some streaming issues with the audio. But basically, it'll affect your memory and learning. Testosterone is another compound whose concentration within the body are affected by the winner and loser effect. Researchers conducted using humans show that after completing a competitive task against another team, the winning team testosterone goes up. It also shows in a group settings that team members who are top scoring players or did the most work receive the highest boost in testosterone. This is something my Pakistani mentor taught me. He says the more you get laid, the more your jawline becomes more squarish. And the more you excrete a different hormone, and women can sense that kind of hormonal response. And it gives you a pre-selection. I know that sounds very different than just using clout game on Instagram and all this stuff. But this is something that your body can actually signal to women. Believe it or not, they can have signs. So if you're always gaining a lot of weight, is not good. I mean, I've gained a little bit of weight recently. I ate McDonald's a lot. It's not good for you, but I did it anyways. So it happens. But I also got a lot of testosterone too, you know? So it really fluctuates. So what I'm trying to say is, how does this relate to everybody else for 2025 for my predictions? Don't you see? It's all 100% related. All related, 100%. Everything I'm saying is related to that cortisol response. Like, no way, John. Yes way. It's 100% related. So, for example, right? The winner effect. Okay? Let me just take a look. So, basically, okay, I just lost the place over here. Okay, winner loser effect. We're talking about it now. When you start to feel defeated, you start to sound defeated, and that defeatedness show up in your tonality. It's a vicious cycle. The more you lose, the more worse you feel. That's right. And the worse you feel, the worse you sound. So you're saying that depending on what the person has experienced, if they won or lose, especially when, how can they lose? That's a better question. What's causing the losses? Right? You might be thinking, well, what's causing the losses? We don't get it, John. How? For them, they really don't know how to manage their money. Because whenever they feel depressed, they're going to spend more money when they feel depressed. The first thing they do, and this is something that even some of my former students do, and they told me, as soon as they feel depressed, they'll go for a drink or they'll spend all their money because that's like their retail therapy. And then now they're in massive debt. They lose all their money. They can earn more money, but they can lose more money. And some people that have excessive ADHD, they're in massive debt. This is very common among the Indians and Latinos because they have the highest ADHD. And for them, they're always going to lose money because they're feeling very depressed. But they could be emotionally blind too. They may say that they don't actually feel any depression, but their mouth is like this. You know, it's very common. You see a lot of Latinos mouth like this these days. That upside down frown. Almost all of them have it. You watch the news, right? You watch these ICE raids. They all have the same thing, the mug shots. And they have different migrants of different ethnicities. And they don't have that kind of smile. It's just like this. But Latinos go like this. And I got lots of Latinos late during the inflation. But this year, it's been even tougher. It's been even tougher. Because the winner or loser effect. ADHD, if you cannot focus, you're going to start to have that frown and you're going to feel very depressed. You're going to feel like you cannot accomplish anything and your brain will grip itself. That feeling where it makes you look forward like this, it grips your brain because that's depression. The evolutionary psychology of depression is to make sure you're so depressed that you only focus on what's in front of you so you can fix your problem. That's the evolutionary psychology advantage. But what do people do? They go drink, they go watch porn, they go play video games, they spike their dopamine, and they try to escape it. Rather, they should face their fear. You're like, what do you mean? They should face their fear and their defeat directly, and then try to fix that part of their life. Because they need to focus. If you can't focus, you'll be in debt because you need to buy retail therapy shit so that way you can cover your depression. That's your antidepressants. That's bad because your voice will start to change. The worse you sound, the more you'll lose. It's like a quicksand. You get stuck, and the harder you struggle, the deeper you sink. But here's the good news. The opposite is also true. Let me just move this around. Okay. The opposite is true because when you start winning, everything changes. That's when you start getting things done. When you stop half-assing it. The most dangerous thing in the world you can do is to do something half-assed. You don't do it fully. No matter what. You see that? Whenever I make one of these videos for YouTube, I fully do it. I don't miss any steps. I don't just do it halfway. I don't lower the standards. Because I know that if I do that, I could possibly become delusional. I could start to have a double chin. And that's what a lot of people are having these days. They're procrastinating for weeks at a time. It's so bad these days, and now they're thinking before the tariff even happened, the threat of the tariff, they're already losing their minds. They're already like bench holding. Boom, just losing their minds. And now that the tariff is happening, it's only half, right? Trump is only giving half the tariff for the countries that give them double of it now. That's a very smart strategy. So it will not sink the United States economy. It's going to grow it. It's a golden age coming, guys. A golden age, and you don't even realize it. Read the room, guys. The tariff is not a threat. It is the greatest thing for America because they're bringing all the businesses back. Plus, if they're only charging half of the tariff for whatever country is charging them, then the other countries eventually have to lower their tariffs. Or they can have to bring their stuff into the United States first and sell it from there. And then the United States is going to be rich as hell, while all the other countries are not. It's a golden age in America. You guys got to read the room. It's the biggest opportunity to get as much pussy as possible for Daygame with white girls. It is a golden opportunity, the best opportunity. And you guys don't see it because you don't read the room. Because of the inflation, because of all that stress, you guys are thinking, oh yeah, I might as well turn MGTOW and might as well just quit and might as well just bench hold and might as well just get triggered and No, this is the wrong response. This is a golden opportunity. The biggest one, like once in a lifetime opportunity. When you start getting things done, when you stop half-assing it and you start doing things, you start to see a big shift because every small victory you achieve, you build more self-esteem. Like, what do you mean, John? How can you build more self-esteem? You got to think about it. It's like an emotional bank account. It's an emotional bank account because the more you actually get things done in your life, the more self-esteem you get. So imagine you finish one task. Normally, you will procrastinate for weeks at a time. But let's say you got it done. then guess what happens? You get like, let's say you put 5 coins in there, right into your piggy bank, right? Your emotional bank account. Now it's in there. But let's say, for example, your next task, you half-ass it, and you don't finish it for 2 weeks. Oh no, now you've taken away like 3 coins, now you got like 2 left. You get it? Next one, you feel like, oh, I'm gonna procrastinate a week for this task. Oh, you just took away 3 coins, now you're -1. Oh shit, now that you're in the minus, the 4 traits of low self-esteem hits. Number 1, delusions. Number 2, you start half-assing it even more. It becomes a downward spiral, guys. Number 3, the wrong path to sociopath. All your decisions, they all fail exactly 4 months. And number 4, you quit. You ment out. So many people just fucking ment out. Men going their own way is not good. You cannot do that. Here's the truth, okay? I'll tell you the truth. I had several potential students. They came here for training, but they've been ment out for 10 years. Their neural pathways are not the same. It's not refined. It's not socializing. And when they try to learn new skills, because they're 10 years older, they're not learning as fast. It's like you can't teach an old dog new tricks as fast. Of course you can. It depends on the person. But for them, because they have bad mindsets and they're full of double chin, like literally they have a double chin. They're just full of cortisol. And when that happens, they get nothing done. And now they become super delusional. So let's say you finally finish a task. I yelled at you, you got it done. Now you got +3. Now you're like -1. Now it's +2. Get it? But you took a break for 2 days. Now it's like -1. Now you're at 1. You finally finish another task. Now it's +2. Now you're just like 3. You get it? So the more you can get the task done, the more you can add to your emotional bank account. That's right. Your emotional bank account. You got to laser focus things. It's like a magnifying glass where you have to aim the beam to burn things, right? Like ants and stuff. Not trying to say you should be sadistic like that, but you need to have that laser focus. That is the secret to getting out of this inflation/tariff. You need to have laser focus, because every small victory that you achieve, it builds your self-esteem, okay? And every time you win, your testosterone goes up. Okay, really? That's right. There are many ways to improve your testosterone. One of the ways is that you can stand up. I can't move my arms to the side like this, like a Superman pose. Is damaged, okay? I damaged my right shoulder. I can still throw a punch really well, but I cannot do like this right now. It's completely locked up. But if you can put your hands to the side, okay, and you put your feet further apart and you stand up with your chest out, you will start to have more testosterone if you do a Superman pose, because that way it gives you more testosterone. Because it's signaling to your body that you're not in the freeze mode, you're not in the freeze mode or your flight mode. I mean, fight, flight, and freeze. You're actually into a fight mode and you're in the confidence mode by sticking out your chest. So even at home, you look at your facial expressions, you look at your body language, and if you're very depressed looking, you're gonna be very, very depressed. It's gonna affect your tonality, and women can hear it. Because every time you win, your testosterone goes up. It's like your body is rewarding you for taking action. You feel more confident. So you should be doing that. You should try to stand in the Superman pose as much as you can. Why not? It's gonna give you more testosterone. Or you can supplement on anti-estrogen pills. I do that all the time. I take 2 of them sometimes, you know? And you can also take stuff to boost your testosterone. I don't mean like steroids, no. I mean legal stuff. You can always use supplement to boost it, because that makes you more aggressive, makes you more forward thinking. So basically, you feel more in control. And the more confidence that shows up in your tonality, your voice becomes stronger. Your delivery becomes smoother. And you stop rushing through your words because you are no longer afraid of losing her attention. You stop sighing at the end of the sentence. And you're like, what do you mean? I have students that actually sighs at the end of the sentence. You're like, I don't understand. What does that mean by sighing? So when they start speaking at the end of the sentence, they'll breathe out kind of like this. And then when they start speaking, and then the oxygen goes out. Why do they do that? There are some students that are emotional blindness. They cannot hear it. They can only hear the sighing at the end of the sentence. That sigh at the end of the sentence is called the poverty sigh. That's right, it's called the poverty sigh. Because of it, you will start to breathe out every time you do that. Hey, John, how's your day going? That breath over there manifests where people, like, money will disappear out of your bank account every sigh. You know what? Now your emotional bank account is like -1. You know what's great about that? Catch yourself. Do you sigh at the end of the sentence? And here's the thing. Unteachable cases, they can't even hear their mistakes. Whenever they do their homework assignment for elite access, I say, can you hear the anger in your voice in your sighing? They're like, no, I cannot hear that, but I can hear the sigh. There are some people with emotional blindness. They can't experience emotions. They don't feel guilt. They don't feel remorse, but they're always triggered. The more triggered they are, the less emotions they have. Because the higher ego, lower self-esteem. If they have narcissism and they're self-deceptive, which is Machiavellian, then they have sociopathy, dark triad personality disorder. And when they crash out and they start to get pissed off and get triggered at me and mentally have a meltdown, then they're dark tetrad. They have sadism, sociopathy, narcissism, and Machiavellian manipulation. Those are very, very dangerous things to have. So you gotta stop sighing at the end of the sentences. And I make some of my students, they take supplements. One of the supplements that's been really helping, and here's a golden nugget, is L-theanine. I don't give away all the supplementation secrets that my students uses, but L-theanine is something I can give away. Since you're here, give it a thumbs up for this, for the algorithms. But L-theanine is like, that's something that's a compound in tea. It's not dangerous. It's in green tea. It helps you focus, and also it helps you with your mood. So it's like an ADHD supplement. It helps you with your mood. It's only like 50% of effectiveness. Because if you start taking other supplements directly related to depression and other supplements directly related to ADHD, like there's different things my students take, then they fully fix it. But this one's only halfway, but it does a lot of things well. It's almost like a Samsung phone, right? It's not the best, but it does everything well. That's what L-theanine is. So you guys should look it up. I'll write it over here for you guys. L-theanine. So you guys should take something like that, because it's really important that you take something like this. Otherwise, you're gonna lose your mind. Okay. Just subscribe to my YouTube channel over here. Pretty cool, right? So that's the secret. So that will fix the sighing at the end of your sentences. You're no longer carrying the weight of failure on your shoulders. Instead, you project certainty. You project authority. And women pick up on that instantly. It's like flipping a switch, right? And yeah, my phone is actually one of the flip 5 or switch, whatever it's called. You'll flip a switch. And then the more you win, the more confident you sound. So the testosterone will start to flood your body. But however, the more confident you sound, the more you win. Because you're in the forward gear. You're in the fight gear. You're not in the freeze gear, and you're not in the flight gear. It's a cycle, but this time it's a positive one. That's right. And this is what I call the winner effect. So the winner effect is what you need right now in order to survive in day game during this inflation. Because if you don't actually do all these things, take L-theanine and start to focus, and you start to go in upward spiral, and you start adding things to your emotional bank account. If you don't start filling your emotional bank account, because it starts to be like -5, you don't do something, you make the wrong path, the sociopath, which is the third trait of low self-esteem. What's going to happen is -5, and now you're in debt. Now you become more delusional. You're going to half-ass it more. You're going to start to do the wrong path, the sociopath, and it fails in exactly 4 months. Whatever delusion you had, you thought you were right, and your whole life becomes ruined in 4 months, and then you quit. But some people, they go back to stage 1, they go back to more delusions, and they go back to more half-assing it. It becomes a downward spiral. Then it becomes -3, now you're -8. Oh, you finally did a task because I yelled at you. Now it's +2. Now it's like -6 for the emotional bank account. So you always got to track your emotional bank account. You must finish everything in your life, because losers, Not winners. Losers will always half-ass everything. Have you seen me ever half-ass anything? No. I go full in. If I'm making a challenge, I'm not going to half-ass this. If I make an advice video, everything is 100% done. Everything is done. I don't fuck around with this because that's the only reason why I can think so clearly. I can think clearly and get so many students laid because I don't half-ass anything. I raise the standards as high as possible, the highest. And it's the opposite is the loser effect. Instead of spiraling downwards, you're spiraling upwards. Instead of letting cortisol control you, you're letting testosterone drive you forward. Now let's contrast the two, okay? The loser effect keeps you stuck. It keeps you in a state of constant stress, where every failure feels heavier than the last. It's like dragging a ball and chain through life. That's what it feels like. And trust me, I've seen my fair share of students and other people that really does not care. I've seen a lot of people that are zombies. It's like they're going from human to zombie. It's not to criticize, to trigger you, to make you feel bad, but the word zombie actually is a great metaphor. Because when a person is human and they get bitten with low self-esteem, they'll start to not see as clearly. Their vision will get blurry. They'll start to see like, oh, you're the enemy. And then they'll hear things differently because that's a zombie trait. They'll start to half-ass everything because zombies cannot focus. They cannot focus at all. They'll start to do the wrong things, bad decisions, because they're affected. And they'll be like, oh yeah, help me, get away from me, I'm a zombie, right? And they'll quit and they'll crash out. So the word zombies, you have to go from zombie to human. And the lower you are for the emotional bank account, the more you become like a zombie. The more your voice will start to sound very stressed out. And the more you'll start to sigh at the end of the sentence. See, I'm telling you what not to do because women can sense this. The 20 out of 35, looks is out of 10. Money out of 5. Status out of 10. Social skills 2.5 points. Social calibrations 2.5 points. Emotional control 2.5 points. Game is 2.5 points. 20 out of 35 points. You gotta get 20 out of 35 by drilling it down the skills until they're second nature because women can actually sense everything. They can sense everything. Their brains are an evolutionary psychology. They can sense it. So if you have a very nice watch or something, and let's say, for example, you walk in the mall, some teenage girl walks by you, but they start looking at your watch, right? So this is a Richard Mille. They start looking at your watch and they're like, what the hell? And then they start to look up and down at you. But nobody taught her how to look for value. But she has this 20 out of 35 concept in her head. It's subconscious, it's evolutionary psychology. So you can raise the points for social skills by doing the social skills flow drill. I won't teach you here. You can ask more questions if you like. I'll answer them all later. You could do that 45-degree body language for social calibrations. You can work on the whitewash tonality for emotional control. You get it? All these things could be drilled down so you can raise your points to bypass her defenses. It's not so much about, just about white person SMVing it and just having some energy and being confident, because that's not transferable to a minority. Sometimes you gotta drill down the skills and raise your emotional bank account. That's the only way you can experience the winner effect. That's right. You can't move forward because the way of your past failures is holding you back. But the winner effect is the complete opposite. It's about momentum. It's about building on every small victory until you're unstoppable. All the small victories in your life matters. You cannot procrastinate or you'll lose your mind. If you procrastinate, you will become delusional, you'll become lazy. Procrastination is the death of your day game during this tariffs. Because you feel like you're losing, you're spending more money, because you're not getting things done. Now you're getting more depressed. Your emotional bank account went down, and now you're gonna spend more retail therapy money, wasting all your money, then you're gonna experience loss. And when you experience loss, you get a bigger double chin, right? When the bigger double chin hits you, and you get more cortisol in your system, the loser hormone, then you get stressed out, then you spend more money, and you're like, oh, John, I can't afford your training. Yeah, because you're turning into a zombie. You gotta raise your emotional bank account. So don't be a zombie, be a zombie to human. So that's the big problem. Because if women can hear that in your voice, it means the reason why last year my students keep getting laid is because they actually work on their tonality. They practice drills to fix their whitewash tonality and slowing down their speed. That's the secret. And I have never taught this stuff before publicly. I've only taught it for elite access. I've never taught it before. So with the winner effect, every action you take becomes a stepping stone. Every success, no matter how small, fuels your confidence. And that confidence fuels your tonality. The loser effects makes you sound defeated. Makes you sound very defeated. When you sigh and breathe out. That's the loser effect. And then you start to pause all the time. You pause all the time. Because your brain cannot handle processing like that. But the winner effect makes you sound like a leader. And the loser effect makes you feel like you're drowning in cortisol. But the winner effect makes you feel like you're flying right through the air like Superman. And here's the best part. You get to choose which cycle that you're in. You want to be upward spiral and build that emotional bank account and start to get confidence because competence equals confidence. Or do you want to go the opposite direction? You want to start procrastinating, doing things halfway, and then wondering why you don't feel good because every time you half-ass things, you say, oh, I still got it done, but you half-assed it. Every time you do that, that's a loser trait. You lose because you half-ass it. It all starts with one decision, one action, one win. So you got to think about it this way. It's like the higher self or the lower self. The higher self means that you're thinking within your altruistic mindset. You're thinking about the good of the people. That's why I'm making this challenge, to wake people up. I'm thinking about the good of the people, not so much about myself, okay? Like I could pitch my course and stuff all I want here if I wanted to, but I don't want to do that right now. I don't. I could, okay? And I'll show you that I could, right? Like, let's pitch something. But I'm not going to. But I could. You see that? Look at that. That's like pitching something. But I'm not going to. I'll take that away. So that's the higher self. Always think you always have a decision. Are you making a decision from your higher self or your lower self? So if you're Indian, right? And it's like, oh no, John's going to talk about Indians. He's going to get triggered and bench hold. No. Somebody needs to say this before you leave, right? And get triggered. I'm going to say the truth. Because this is the gospel of Daygame. If you bench hold and you start procrastinating and you only show up once every 5 days because you get emotional and because you have excessive ADHD and you don't fill your emotional bank account and you start being in a deficit, it's on you. You should supplement with L-theanine and get things done. A lot of Indian students that I have this year, they'll disappear for like 3 weeks at a time. They'll bench hold. And that's not the right mentality. That's the loser mentality. You're going to lose. And then you're going to start to get delusional. Then you're going to start to listen to white dating coaches. And then when you don't get laid by going direct, because every single 100 direct compliments, 100 rejections. And then you think, well, game is rigged. So you go to Indian dating coaches. And then it doesn't work for you either. It doesn't work because there's lots of things that they have lots of crutches that you cannot use unless it's in a boot camp. But you cannot depend on crutches. My students don't use alcohol. They don't use alcohol and escalate super hard. And then you start to think about beyond that. Then you finally listen to John Elite. But you listen to white dating coaches. You've grown weeds in your garden because you were delusional because you did not fill your emotional bank account. Then you start listening to Indian coaches and then John Elite last. The only dating coach that isn't using optics and standing next to women. And just like posing. That posing has fooled you. White dating coaches on Facebook has been posing like crazy. And they basically, the only students they get laid is with some ugly Filipina. And then they think they're like a fucking god. And they start saying, oh yeah, we're the best company ever. And we're gonna start scaling the bit. What the fuck are they talking about? What are you scaling? A white man gets a Filipina. Good job. Even my white students can bang 2 Filipinas in one day. Who gives a shit? And you start listening to white people because of white plausibility. You get delusional, and then your whole brain, your whole garden is now filled with weeds. And when you're hearing me speak, I'm planting good seeds into your brain. Healthy stuff. And people, they get laid here. Not only do they get laid, they get married. You see so many testimonials of students getting married, and they're even becoming fathers now. They're procreating. This is like growing a good tree of life. But you listen to the other platform scammers out there because of delusions. So, because you start winning, everything will start to fall into place. I teach losers how to win. And you don't have to be a winner to train with me. You don't have to be. Lots of my students, when they start out, they were complete fucking... Okay, I can train losers into winners. Just like the army can train people to be killers or soldiers. But I cannot train total losers on teachable cases because they need to go slow. They need to do it their way. They have a one-track mind. They have a Pentium 1 computer, a very weak, slow computer brain. They have to work with their hands. Lots of Latinos are like that. Oh, I offended like half the audience, but I'm going to say the truth. I'm going to call people out. And it's not going to be comfortable because of the truth. But if you listen to it, you're going to start to wake up and realize you got to grow your emotional bank account. You got to think with the higher self. Every single thing you do is there a decision. From now on, after this challenge for today, I'm not done yet. I'm just getting started. But the first lesson you should all do is to get L-theanine. If you're going to get depressed, this will fixes your mood. And also, this is going to slow down your cortisol a little bit. Also, it's going to help you with your ADHD. This pill is like $9 on Amazon. You can find one for $9 in like 120 of them. And this is the stuff in green tea. There's nothing wrong with it. It's not dangerous. I even had former students so stubborn. They say, oh, I don't want to take supplements because I want... Oh my God. It's like a Pentium 1 computer full of viruses and delusions without a power supply, and they don't want to take any supplements to clean up the viruses, to make it work, to power it up. Really. L-theanine. See it right there in the comments. So, let's get into the 6 tonality issues that's holding men back. These aren't just minor problems, they are deal breakers. So in 2024 and 2025, the reason why you cannot get laid for day game compared to before, when you got laid during the pandemic times, is very simple. Or you could be like a Latino that bragged that you had girlfriends or multiple girlfriends. They all did. They used to have high SMV. But with the Trump and ICE and all this stuff, not anymore. Their SMV went down for their status. So number one, I won't give you the solution yet, but I want you to understand what the real problems are, okay? But one of the solutions I did give is L-theanine. Take it. You're like, well, I don't know where to look for it. Just look at the comments. It says L-theanine. Just go Amazon right now. You have Amazon Prime? Just type L-theanine. L-T-H-E-N-I-N-E. L-theanine. You take it so you don't have to get depressed and you don't have to spend like crazy. And then you can get things done. You can build your emotional bank account. Then you can save enough money to train with me. I'm not pitching here. So you don't have to train with me if you don't want to get laid. Not my problem. But if you want to get laid, you could take L-theanine. That's your way out. That's one of the solutions. Because awareness is the first step to change. So number one, ever notice how some guys say the simplest things and command attention while others talk like a mile a minute and they get ignored? It's not just about what you say, it's how you say it. And if you're speaking too fast, you're silently killing your presence. You're like, what do you mean? Because speed isn't confidence, it's panic. A lot of people are like, John, I'm speaking slow. I'm speaking to women very slowly and I'm taking my time. So they're like, excuse me real quick, I have a question. I was just looking over this way over there. I thought you're very cute. I want to come by. It sounds like a train, right? Trying to slow down. You're trying to hit the brakes on it and it's going so fast. How can you even digest that? You can't even digest that. When you rush your words, you're subconsciously signaling that you're nervous and you have low status. You're afraid of losing her attention. So you think that if you speak faster, then she's not going to walk away. But in reality, if you speak slower and you did it so slow like you're trying to troll her, like you try to speak as slow as possible, when you're talking to her, it becomes a lot more hypnotic when you speak. And for some reason, when she walks away, she's going to be walking backwards. You're like, what? You're like, no way. No matter how fast you try to so-called plow, which is bullshit, and you try to go faster, and you try to have that loser effect because of the cortisol, you're gonna start to lose big time. And trust me, women pick up on that instantly. And here's the good news. Slowing down isn't just a habit, it's a skill. And once you mastered it, everything changes. Let me show you why. Let's start with the first issue, speaking too fast. That's right. This is one of the biggest giveaways of high cortisol levels. And you know what has cortisol, right? People with Asperger's or autism has very high cortisol. If you don't believe me, let's consult the Google dictionary, right? Okay, so, all right, so autism and cortisol. Let's see if there's any correlation, okay? The results show that serum cortisol levels were significantly... Okay, hold on a second. Okay, so for the government website, right, we also noted that peripheral levels of cortisol were significantly higher in autistic patients compared with control. Some people say that's not that different, but cortisol levels, which hormones involved? Okay, autism, cortisol, right, levels. Let's see if there's any correlation. Research suggesting, okay, researchers, AI overview, individuals with autism spectrum disorders, ASD, levels and response to stress may experience altered cortisol levels in response to stress, potentially exhibiting higher peak cortisol levels, prolonged cortisol elevations compared to typical developing individuals. Okay. Studies indicate that children with autism may have a heightened reactivity of hypothalamic, pituitary, adrenal, HPA axis, the system responsible for stress responses, leading to increased cortisol levels in response to stress or novel stimuli. So some research suggests that children with autism may show elevated cortisol levels during social interactions, potential reflecting enhanced arousal of metabolic preparedness rather than a response to social threat. Cortisol rhythm and response. Okay, so basically what it's saying is that cortisol is very common among the autistic people. And this is going to trigger a lot of people, but this is the gospel of Daygame. I would speak the truth. If there's a trait, for example, and some of you may have Asperger's, you might be good at engineering. That's your job. You're an engineer. And you're very good at one job, but you can't do anything else. You're going to have a very high cortisol response, especially when you have a autism or Asperger diagnosis, which a lot of my students do. A lot of them are diagnosed as Asperger's. The other ones are diagnosed with super ADHD, right? Severe ones. Oh, they're going to be delusional because they can't get anything done. I've had a lot of students with different mental illnesses, but these ones are very common. So if you have a double chin, you're gaining a lot of weight all the time, then maybe that's a cortisol response. And a lot of people are in denial. No, I just need to exercise. Exercising doesn't do anything. So this is something when you have too much cortisol and when you're losing too much, it's called the Cushing syndrome. Let's see if this is true. What is Cushing syndrome? Okay. All right, let's take a look. Cushing syndrome is a rare condition when the body produces too much cortisol, a hormone linked to stress response. It can be difficult to diagnose because symptoms can resemble other conditions. Symptoms include physical changes, a rounded face, weight gain in the torso, neck, and shoulders. But thin arms and legs, a fatty hump between the shoulders is common. Symptoms include skin issues, bruising, stretch marks, and slow wound healing. This is actually real. It's not something I'm making up here. You can, well, can't really see it, but yeah, it's right over there. And that's Cushing syndrome, you should see how chubby they really are for the people. Very, very chubby. So I have a lot of students that have a double chin and they start getting super chubby. And you know, I've gained a little bit of weight here and there since the last time I was on YouTube Live. It happens when we're stressed out. But I have students that balloon up like crazy. Right? Huge double chin. Lots of students are like that because they have some kind of Asperger's. And it's very common. I find that the people that are unteachable cases, they're sociopathic and they're autistic and they're Asperger's and they're good at one thing. They always never take responsibility. Those are unteachable cases. They'll shift the blame. It's never their fault. Because sociopaths have to win at all costs. Don't get triggered. This is the gospel. When they get triggered and then they never blame themselves, it's always someone else's fault. They feel no guilt. Then they never take responsibility. They never add to their emotional bank account. They never accomplish anything because it's never their fault. So when you speak quickly, it signals anxiety, nervousness, and low status. Women can pick up on this instantly. There are some students that speak to women like this. Excuse me real quick, I have a question. Next one. Excuse me, I just want to come by and say hi because I was like looking at a place called Zara. Oh, you know what, I can find it. Oh, by the way, I just know something about you. I just noticed how you are. They're literally stressing out like an auctioneer. They talk like that. Next woman. Hey, excuse me, they look all stressed out. Excuse me real quick, I have a question. I was looking for a place called Zara. Do you know where I can find it? They have no oxygen in their lungs. That's another thing that you notice about these people. They have a small lungs. They sip in the air. They're like, I'm not joking, small lung syndrome. And they don't even realize it. You might think that you're trying to get your point across by talking faster. But what you're really doing is projecting insecurities. Here's what's happening inside your head when you speak too fast. You're thinking, oh, if I don't get my point across, then she's gonna walk away. Dude, in 2025, you're gonna kill your day game results. There's gonna be no results when you talk fast. And you're like, John, I don't talk too fast. And you start rolling the words. Excuse me, real quick, I have a question, and rolling the syllables. And then you start to lose even more, because when you roll the words, the people that rolls the words like this, they're more delusional. They roll the words a lot, and it's like they're rolling it, and then they're rolling it, and then they're talking with the words close together like this, almost like a Vietnamese person when they start talking like super fast. And even if they're not like Vietnamese, but they're not like born in Vietnam, they still talk like super fast. And the thing is that when you start talking with women, they're just like this, and then all of them have like cortisol and lots of narcissism, and then the problem is they're very delusional, and then they get chubby. When they talk like that, they get chubby because every time they run out of oxygen, they start to go into the fight, flight, and freeze response. That's right. It's so easy for them to sound either angry when they're in the fight mode. If they're in the freeze mode, they're gonna start to sound depressed. And when they're in the flight mode, they're gonna sound scared. So maybe you're thinking, oh, I'm interrupting her life, so I need to hurry. But here's the irony. The faster you speak, the less control you project. And women associate control with confidence and status. When you speak too fast, you sound like you're chasing her approval. And chasing approval is one of the biggest turnoffs for women. It makes you sound like you don't value yourself, like you're desperate to be heard. And desperate is the opposite of high status. And let me tell you something important. High status men don't rush. They don't need to feel the need to cram everything into one sentence, Vietnamese people. They take their time because they know their words have value. You think a billionaire needs to rush when they're speaking, when they have high value? Of course not. They take their time. They expect every single person to listen to them. When you speak too fast, you're doing the opposite. You're signaling that your words don't matter and that you're trying to get it over with. And women can feel that. Fast speech overwhelms women. It makes them feel like they're being bombarded with information that they can't digest. It's like you're throwing a bunch of word salads at them like Kamala Harris, hoping something will stick in the passage of time. I'm just joking. But here's the problem. Women don't process information the same way men do. They don't just hear your words, they feel the emotions behind it. And that's when you're speaking too fast. Oh, excuse me real quick, I have a question. I was looking for a place called Zara. Do you know where I can find it? Oh, by the way, I just noticed something about you. I just noticed that you are like what you said. Like literally, in the next woman, hey, excuse me real quick, I have a question. Like, next one, hey, excuse me real quick. It's like it's so stupid, and they can't change when they have small lung syndrome. The Asperger's, with sociopathy, the small lung syndrome, the emotions they feel is anxiety. Your anxiety becomes their anxiety. And that's not the kind of energy that creates attraction. Another thing to consider is when you speak too fast, you don't give yourself time to think. Your brain cannot keep up with your mouth. Right? It's like an auctioneer. And that's the weird thing, because it's like a tango dance, a Latina dance. It's kind of like salsa. If one partner goes super fast and the other one has to be forced to go fast, they're going to trip over each other. When one person goes fast, then the woman goes fast. And then what happens with the Vietnamese zombies is that they hear that she's talking fast, so they think that's normal, so they go even faster. And then she goes even faster. And then it becomes a race to the bottom in a downward spiral. They see who is the fastest talker of all. That becomes a major problem. You never ever want to speak so fast that you can't even hear each other. That's a bad thing. So this leads to awkward pauses, which we'll talk about in a moment. But for now, let's focus on why this happens. When you're speaking quickly, it usually is because your cortisol levels are high. Cortisol is your stress hormone, and it is what your body produces when you're feeling anxious or pressured. And high cortisol makes you feel like you're running out of time. And it feels like that little voice in your head saying, hurry up, hurry up. But here's the truth. You're not actually running out of time. That's your stress talking. And the more you give into that stress, the worse your tonality becomes. And here's something else to think about. When you speak too fast, you're not just affecting how women perceive you, you're also affecting how you perceive yourself. Because speaking quickly reinforces the idea that you're not in control. And when you don't feel like you're in control, your confidence would take a hit. It's a vicious cycle that speaks fast because you're anxious, and you feel more anxious because you're speaking fast. So now you're the type of guy who feels like you're constantly running out of time in the conversation. And this is something that you need to reflect on. But you're like, John, I do not speak fast, but you start rolling your words. You're like, excuse me real quick. I'm not speaking fast, John. This is how I speak. No attractive woman in the whole world will fuck you during this inflation. When you start rolling the words like this, you start speaking like super fast, you start rolling the words, you start running out your breath, and then you start sounding like a Latino, and then you're like completely delusional, and you cannot hear that you're fast. That's the truth. And this is the gospel. I'm going to speak the truth. Latinos in 2025, they cannot hear, due to delusions and ADHD, they cannot hear their own mistakes in their own voice. And when you play it on the YouTube live, like right now, all the other Latinos are like, I can't hear the mistake except for the sighing at the end of the sentence. They really cannot hear that it sounds angry or it sounds depressed. They cannot hear it. It's not just about slowing down. It is about addressing the cortisol, driving your speech patterns, because here's the thing. When you slow down, you project confidence. When you show that you're in control, that you value your words, and that you're not afraid to take up space, and that's what high status men do. High status men speak deliberately. They speak with purpose. And because of that, the words carry weight. And when you speak too fast, you rob yourself without power. This is how Latino sounds like. I sound like very depressed. I sound like super fast. And you turn your words into noise instead of meaning. And women can feel the difference. So your next time you catch yourself rushing through a conversation, stop and ask yourself, why am I in such a hurry? But you cannot help it, because now it becomes a hormonal issue. You gotta speak as fast as possible. You gotta try to get the words out. No, don't do that. Are you chasing approval, or are you projecting confidence? Because the truth is, women aren't going to walk away just because you take your time. In fact, the opposite is true. When you slow down and you give her time to process what you're saying, you give her the time to feel the emotions behind your words. And that's what happened with my 52-year-old student at the time. He was speaking slower, and the woman was like, oh, you were speaking slower than usual. It sounds disconcerting. And he was like, John, you see that? She didn't like me speaking faster. And I was like, did she fuck you? And then he's like, oh, yes, sir. Because she did. Before, she wouldn't. He pulled her, but nothing happened. The bald guy who's German. And then the second time, he speaks like a lot slower. And then he bangs like 3 women in one approach for the Kaizen program. And that's just what creates connection. So don't let cortisol control your conversation. Take your time. Speak with purpose. And remember, high status men do not rush. So do you guys want to hear how he speaks? Like in his testimonial, after the program for Kaizen, which is part of 3 months of proficiency. I'm not pitching here, but let's hear what it sounds like. Because, okay, I have it on a Facebook group. I posted a video. Let's see if I can find it. I think one Indian student watched it like 3 times or 2 times. He really liked it. This one. Okay, let me just... Let's see if I can find it. Okay, this is ABC's a former low self-esteem student. Let's see if the... Where's the bald white guy? Okay, if I cannot find it, then whatever.
To get over this line. Action. My age.
Guy, this guy. All right, here's the guy. Listen to how he speaks.
Fucking pink work shirts. Asians are.
All right.
You're gonna learn a lot. There's a lot of new testimonials you have not seen yet.
I mean, this is my first week after the second round of Kaizen training with Tonality, and it worked again. Now, 1 week after the training, it worked again. Yesterday, I ran into a Middle Eastern girl. Whatever reason, she wanted to keep it all hush hush and secret. When she came here, she put her arms around my shoulders and let me take her. And within 6 weeks, taking home and having sex with 2 girls who were less than half my age. Hello?
The first one was 21 years old. The second one was 25. The second one is smoking fucking hot. The first one, 8.5 out of 10. Super good looking. 21 years old. A fucking 51-year-old or whatever guy, 52, is banging a fucking 21-year-old because of the slowness and the tonality by not rushing. He was the fastest rusher. It took him over 3 weeks to fix his fast speech. When he started rolling the words, he started speaking super fast, full cortisol. Listen to him. Slow.
This is another video update. Oops, I did it again. I fucked another 21-year-old yesterday.
Hey guys, how are you? Which one?
See that? And here's another student. You can hear his cortisol. He's kind of chubby for this guy. This is a father. He just got through a divorce and he took my program. You can hear a cortisol speech. It's fast. See?
Johnny leads the course Elite 30 and the playbook. I took it like say 10 days ago, and John is a really good coach. He really cares about what his students. He's trying to get.
Well, it's not super fast, but he kind of rolls the words occasionally. But yeah, so a lot of students, they have that sort of cortisol zombie speech. You gotta fix it. I'm losing my voice. Number 2, ever wonder why some guys sound magnetic while others just drains energy out of the room? It's not just what you say, it's how you say it. And it's not if your voice carries the weight of someone who's already given up, for example, hey guys, I'm very depressed, and sigh at the end. If you sound like that, women can pick up on it. Every sentence that you talk with her back and forth, she gets more and more turned off no matter how good looking you are. And then they don't just hear your words, they feel your emotional energy. That's why depressed tonality is one of the biggest silent killers of attraction for a day game. It signals low confidence, low status, and worst of all, it makes you invisible to women. Here's the truth. Your voice isn't broken, it's just stuck. And once you learn to unlock it, everything changes. Let me explain. The second issue is the depressed tonality. But before we dive deeper, I need to make an important distinction. There's a difference between having a full range of emotions, like empathy, happiness, peacefulness, and curiosity, and only experiencing triggered feelings. That's right. A lot of the unteachable cases are crashing out. Just because you get triggered does not mean you have any emotions. In fact, the more triggered you get, the less emotions that you actually have. So, what spurred your decision to move tonality to exclusively to elite access to public information now? Okay, that's a good question. Because I'm making a new course called Elite Tonality Mastery. And the reason why I made it into a course and bundle everything, I'm not pitching right now, but the reason why, you can see over here, there's at least like 8 or 9 videos, all brand new film. They're like 3 hours each or 2.5 hours. I'm cutting it down. They're all about tonality. It's actually, last year, the secret was that I had no choice because social skills was 2.5 points, right? So if they practice a social skills flow drill, in 2022, they'll get laid like crazy. In 2023, they needed 5 extra points. So they needed social skills and social calibrations. Make sense? Social skills, social calibrations. That's like 2 things. But now they need 3 things. They need 7.5 points. So they also needed emotional control, whitewash tonality, learning how to speak slower, learning not to like pause and stuff. So that's why, because the reason why I was moved to Elite Access is because they needed all 7.5 points during the inflation. And now that the tariff is starting and people are worried about recession and they're crashing out, that's why I decided to put it into a course. I'm gonna film a 21-day challenge. So when they go through a 21-day challenge for the inner circle, I'm gonna put it into the course. So that way, other people can learn it, but the only way you can really learn it is, I'm not pitching here. The only way you can learn it from me right now is if you want elite tonality mastery, the only way in the world that you can possibly get this is if you have Elite 30, you can upgrade to Elite Bundle 2, depending on the price. So that's number 1. Number 2, if you want to buy it separately, you can't. Because I want people to use their Elite Access, but now I don't have to do so much work. I can just supervise them going through the 21-day challenge for the tonality mastery. Hope that makes sense. Hope that answered your question. So, yeah. For certified finest, right? All right. So triggered feelings are reactive feelings like anger, frustration, and defensiveness. Oh man, I saw so many people crashing out. Every single week, there's a new person crashing out. I had 5 people crash out week after week. I'm just wondering who is the next one. Who is the next one? So make sure in the future, you just write the word question first, right? Before you ask a question, I'll answer it later. I'll answer yours right now, I don't mind, but as it says over there on the bottom, just write the word question, and then at the end, we'll scroll over all of them and answer everything. So feelings and emotions are 2 different things. Especially some of my students are emotionally blind, Latinos, but they get triggered all the time. They're not reflective or responsive, but they're purely reaction to external challenges. It's almost like putting their hand on the stove or they're breathing in. They're like, they get triggered. Once they get triggered, it's a physiological response. They feel it like an earthquake inside their head. I don't feel shit. I don't get triggered. I still have self-esteem. Higher ego, lower self-esteem, or higher self-esteem, lower ego. Because I get everything done, I get all my tasks done, and I'm competent at what I do, then that way I add to my emotional bank account. That's the only way I'm not bench holding and losing my mind, because I never half-ass anything. But here's the thing, when someone only experiences triggered feelings all the time, it's often a sign of deeper psychological issues. In some cases, it can even point to sociopathic tendencies. So let me try to clarify so it makes more sense. Because whenever you see people crashing out, look at, for example, Elon Musk and Doge, right? When Elon Musk and Doge, they start looking into the government waste, right? You see all these people are firebombing the shit out of the Teslas, the dealerships. That's like crashing out. That's illogical. That's exactly the same as the zombies. So it doesn't matter if they're a pickup artist or they're a narcissist far left, because they have the same psychology. They have the sociopathic traits. They have the Machiavellian manipulation, the self-deception. They have the sociopathic, as I said, they make excuses. It's never their fault. They'll shift the blame. It's always my fault for them. I'm the world's best day game coach with 660 laid in testimonials, but it's my fault that I triggered them. Because I'm a bully, as they say. Oh, John, you're a bully. It's like, okay, what did I say that bullied you? I don't know, but the way you said it, how did I say it? No, but you bully me. Or maybe you're thin-skinned. Maybe if you're triggered, here's the truth, okay? For triggered people, they have no emotional intelligence. I always think it's three things. IQ up here, EQ for emotional quotient or emotional intelligence, and spiritual IQ. Just because a person's a Hindu doesn't mean they're spiritual, because they can still stab people in the back. I'm talking about actual morality, not some made up one. So if a person is moral, but they're delusional and they're emotional, they will not stab me in the back. If a person is delusional, they have no morality, and they're completely like emotional, they'll stab you in the back eventually, very quickly. It's just a matter of time before the knife goes right into your back. Every week, somebody's crashing out, just like Tesla dealerships. They're the same psychology. Every single week. So who's next? I can't wait to see which student is going to lose their mind and have a meltdown. This is so common. So let me clarify what I mean by that. I'm not saying everyone who struggles with tonality is a sociopath. Oh, no, of course not. That's a blanket statement, a black and white statement, and mentally filtering. No. But I'm saying there are certain individuals, what I call unteachable cases, who exhibits traits that makes them resistant to growth. These individuals often have a high ego paired with a low self-esteem. They're narcissists. They're emotionally blind. They have no emotions. They don't feel guilt and remorse. They're like, what is guilt and remorse, John? They asked me. I was like, what the fuck are you talking about? What do you mean what's guilt and remorse? So you're saying that if you kill somebody, metaphorically speaking, you won't feel guilt and remorse. They will not. They don't even know. That's why they can backstab people. There's no actual triggerness when they do something bad. A lot of dating coaches have this issue too. That's why they can screw people over. So the narcissist, the emotionally blind people, and they're completely disconnected from their own feelings. They don't even feel guilt. They don't take responsibility for their actions. And they can't hear their own mistakes either. Even if they record it and listen to it themselves, they're like, what mistakes? You're trying to troll me now, John. That's like, what do you mean I'm trying to troll you? I don't hear the mistakes. Everybody else will say that the mistake is not there. They're that delusional. They'll be kicked out very soon. This emotional blindness creates a barrier to progress. And when Latinos cannot hear their own mistakes, and everybody else, all the other students can, no matter how much feedback they receive from Daygame, they just can't internalize it. They're like zombies. And it's not to criticize, but it's like going from human to zombie due to low self-esteem, lower emotional bank account. And the more they do that, the more they procrastinate, the more double chin they get, and the more angry they sound, or the more like their tonality sounds like they're talking fast. And now they have a double chin, they're talking fast, they're crashing out. They can't reflect on their actions because they're too focused on protecting their own massive narcissistic ego. And here's where it gets even more challenging. These individuals often blame others for their failures. Whoa, really? It's like, oh, if you're not going to take responsibility, then how are you supposed to change? They'll blame the system. They'll blame women they approach. They'll even blame me as the coach, claiming, that's not for them. But they'll never stop to think, maybe the problem is them. The mindset is what makes them unteachable, because growth requires self-awareness. It requires the ability to look inwards and say, this is where I need to improve, to take extreme ownership. But for the individuals with sociopathic traits, I'm telling you, in 2025, if you're sociopathic and you like to shift the blame, you're not going to succeed with my coaching. That's a level of introspection that's almost impossible for them. They're delusional, they're emotionally blind, and they're stuck in a cycle of blame and frustration. And now let's tie this back to depressed tonality. They usually have a massive frown, an upside down smile. If you look at all the ice, you look at all the mugshots, they all have exactly the same frown. Like every single one of them, I can show you. I sometimes like to post videos of that, right? Of the ice arrest. And they all, like, it's like they have a sociopathic eyes, a frown, and a downturned lip. That'll be a good thumbnail. So, and I'm just saying, is not to criticize, but Latinos, this is the gospel of Daygame. You're now part of the scriptures of it. This is so common. You gotta fix this. You can't just frown, because if you're frowning like this, and you're saying there's nothing wrong with your tonality, it doesn't sound depressed or angry, because you're emotionally blind. It's like a blind woman who cannot hear anything that she's saying. And she's like, oh, excuse me, I can't hear, I'm deaf. Can you hear me, understand? They can't hear it because they're deaf. But these guys are emotionally deaf. They're emotionally deaf and they're stuck. It's like a massive frown upside down. And they don't even know it at all. And they're telling me, hey, John, I don't feel any depression. You're making this up. Or you can't hear their own voice when you hear on WhatsApp for their infield. The depressed tonality is one of the most common signs of emotional disconnection. Remember, emotions is one thing. It's like Baskin Robbins, 21 flavors of emotions. But when you look at it, feelings is just a few. Anger, triggered, depressed. That's not emotions, that's feelings. That's triggered feelings. The voice is someone who's carrying the weight of the world over their shoulders. Someone who sighs at the end of every sentence, as life is just too much for them to handle. That's a poverty sigh. And every time they sigh, they start to have a bigger debt. They start to owe more money. And here's the thing, women can pick up on this instantly. And they don't want to hear your words, just your words. They want to feel your emotional energy behind them. And if your tonality is flat, low energy, and full of sighs, hey guys, they'll perceive you as a man who is struggling because you don't have survival value. And while they may feel sympathy for you, they won't feel attraction. Because attraction requires confidence. Competence equals confidence. That means breaking habits and drilling it down and not being ADHD. Competence equals confidence. Attraction requires confidence, and depressed tonality is the opposite of confidence. It is the wrong vibe and the opposite of high status. Now let's contrast this with someone who has a full range of emotions, okay? So when you're emotionally aware, you can hear your own tonality. You can recognize when your voice sounds flat or monotone. And you can make adjustments to project confidence and energy. And when you're emotionally blind, like a Latino, when you're stuck in a triggered feeling, like an Indian, or sociopathic tendencies, like both, you can't do that. You can't hear the mistake in your tonality. So there are some students that are so delusional, they literally cannot hear a single mistake in their tonality. So, as I was saying, you can't recognize the lack of emotional energy in your voice. Because you're like a deaf person thinking, do you understand my sign languages? It's like emotionally you're doing the same thing. And because of that, you stay stuck. You stay in a cycle of low status, low confidence, and low attraction. So here's the takeaway. If you want to break out of depression tonality, you need to develop an emotional awareness. You need to expand your range of emotions beyond just the triggered feelings. But you're like, John, but they're sociopaths. How could they ever feel emotions? They can't. is only very limited, unfortunately. It's a hardware issue. You need to learn how to connect yourself with the world around you. And here's a golden nugget, okay? I know I shouldn't be giving too many of these, but okay, here's a secret, okay? Are you guys ready for it? Go watch like a very emotional reaction video, like, I don't know, like the first season of Squid Games, okay? I sometimes watch and make the students watch some of the more emotional episodes. And they look at the person reacting to the Squid Games. And when they say they're reacting, these guys with no emotions, like Chinese people, like Vietnamese people, like Indians, like Latinos, when they have no emotional intelligence, they say like, why are they overly like getting triggered when you watch the video? Because I told them that's what empathy is. Because they're putting themselves in the shoe of the other person watching it. And they're like, oh, so empathy means that you can feel what the other person is feeling. I say, yes. Just because you get triggered, like you can feel like you're triggered. You're 90% more triggered than I am. However, the emotions for other people is 90% stronger than yours. So really? You barely feel like less than 5 or 10% of emotions. You don't feel emotions. If you get triggered, you lack emotional intelligence. You don't have emotions. You got feelings, butthurt feelings. So that means that most people in the general population, they're very emotional. They're extremely, extremely emotional. It almost overrides all their decisions. That's why they're always stuck. That's why they're always like an NPC. Because people are very emotional. And they're crashing out. Because that's when you start watching the TV show, you start to see how people socialize. Although it's written by writers. But when you start looking at that, you realize, damn, there's so much emotions. It's almost like, this is like surfing waves of emotions everywhere. You're surfing all the time. That's right. That's the truth. That's the truth. People are very emotional. The world's very emotional. You just can't feel it. Meltdowns in like the far left is not emotions. So, as I was saying, okay, let's see here. I'm gonna copy and paste it and post. Okay, I'm gonna post this video again. Okay, 23 views only. Where the fuck are you? All right. At least this way, I can see if more people shows up. So, all right. Because when you do everything, right? Because when you do, everything changes. You need to learn how to connect yourself to the world around you. Your tonality becomes more dynamic. Your voice projects confidence and energy, and women can feel that. So that's number 2. So maybe there's an example of a student that has this problem. Let me see of all these videos.
Sociopathic. Push pause or just game. Everything is sleep.
Okay, maybe this student.
Promise that she isn't.
This student is extremely depressed. When I was first training him, right? Supplements did not work.
With you. And so I bring her to the apartment, use her restroom, come out, we talk about life.
You can kind of hear he has a depressed tonality, but he still got a same day LA.
Maintain my nonverbals and tonality and body posture and via hard kiss to hero. And as time went on, I talked slower to her until I went for a makeout and she complied. And then I went back to making out with her, and then, yeah, she and I ended up doing each other on the sofa.
Yeah, so you can hear for him, right? He's very, very, very depressed sounding, very gloomy. That's not good. This student over here talks very fast.
I got quick testimonial for my Daygame coach, John Elite. So recently, I managed to lay with a model. She's 180 cm tall, right? Which is way taller than me. I'm only like 175.
Yeah, for this guy, this other student, very fast.
It was from the Beijing. I met her at a food court at night around 9 p.m. I met her at a food court, and then I got her Instagram within like 1 minute. And I scheduled a date. She keeps saying, I don't that she had to see her face wet and everything. And I wanted to go to my house. I took a taxi there. And on the way, I realized that I didn't bring my key. I'm like, fuck. So at the shopping mall, I tried to do it in the toilet. I pulled her to a staircase. We made out for a while.
This was the first lay that he got. And the first one was like taller model. So that's when the first lay out of 15 lays. He got 5 models. 5 white girls. 2 actresses. 1 foursome. And he married one of the actresses. And now he's a father. But one of the drills he had to practice secretly during the inflation of 2022 when it started was that he had to learn how to talk slower. Why am I bringing this stuff out now for elite access, as you were asking? Because now is the time. He was secretly doing all this stuff before it was rolled out to the other students. A lot of things are kept secret.
It's kind of style. She my call. I was fingering her and all that because she was living with 2 other models. Okay, so 3 of them were in the hotel. They were sharing the same room. So she called her friend and she kicked 2 of her friends out of the room just so we can have sex, right? She brought me back to her room. We had sex, and then that was the end of the night. Okay, now how did John help me in this whole journey? Okay, so I got him I engaged him as my coach about a week ago, and honestly, it's my first day game ever since I got him as coach. And in my first day game, I managed to get her laid, okay? And I think I did about maybe 6 approaches that night. Yeah, she's taller than me, but
He's saying he got laid in 6 fucking approaches. Just 6. All his lays are 1 to 6 approaches because he kept drilling it down. He kept raising the points. Don't you understand? The emotions can lower your points.
everything is sleepless, everything's so science. I used to be an RSD, I used to go for RSD bootcamp, and honestly, it's like everyone was just spam approaching. Imagine 10 guys going to a bootcamp, just spam approaching people and getting blown out within like 30 seconds to 1 minute. So I didn't get it. So
he went to RSD Tyler bootcamp and he got completely demolished.
that bootcamp, man. So Johnny Lee is definitely better than RSD. That's why I was looking for alternative, and I'm glad I found John.
Hello, everybody. So I am a
So we can look at these later, right? But there's plenty. Some of these are unreleased. But you get the point. You can see that some of the students, although they talk fast, they can still compensate in other areas. The drills means competence equals confidence. Your tonality becomes more dynamic. Your voice projects confidence and energy, and women can feel that. Number 3. Ever had a conversation that just felt off? Like no matter what you said, the energy just wasn't there. But here's the surprising reason why too many pauses happens. The confidence is kind of like, it builds the tension. The awkwardness, that kind of kills the attraction. Every hesitation, right? Every pause, every overthought sentence, every weird gap in your speech, women feels that. You know, like when Mr. A, and he starts talking, and then he tries to do something like this because he thinks it sounds manly. But in reality, it's just his Asperger's. Because the left brain is trying to connect with the right brain and switching back and forth. That's why there are so many pauses. Because they're still trying to think. The brain, the middle part called the corpus callosum is weak. That's why they cannot stop fucking pausing. Happens all the fucking time. They don't analyze it logically, but deep down they sense something's off for the women when they hear that. And if your conversations don't flow naturally, they'll start to disconnect before they even realize why. So why does this happen? And more importantly, how do you fix it? So let's break it down. This happens when your left and right brain aren't working in sync, leading to overthinking and hesitation, like I said. Let's break this down further. The left brain is responsible for logic, structure, and language. And the right brain, on the other hand, handles creativity, emotion, and social intuition. So for most people, these 2 sides of the brain communicate effortlessly through the corpus callosum, which acts like a bridge. And when that bridge isn't functioning properly due to Asperger's, when the wirings is loose, it creates a disconnect. And this is common in individuals with Asperger's, autism, or even those who are simply stuck in their heads due to stress or anxiety. The result your brain gets stuck into a loop and you overthink every word, every sentence, and every response. And this overthinking leads to awkward pauses in your speech. Why too many pauses are an issue? Because too many pauses disrupts the flow of your conversation. They make you sound unsure, uncalibrated, and socially impaired. And here's the thing. Women may not even consciously think, oh, he has Asperger's or he has autism, but they sense that something is off. And they feel the lack of rhythm in your speech. And when your speech lacks the flow, it breaks the connection. Think of a conversation like a dance. And that's the rhythm to it, a natural back and forth that keeps both people engaged. And when you pause too often, it's like stepping on your partner's toes. It disrupts the rhythm, the connection that starts to break down. Women want to feel a natural flow in your conversation. They want to feel like they're dancing with someone who knows the steps. And when your pauses disrupts that flow, they lose interest. And it's not intentional on their part. It's just humans are wired. We're drawn to people who speaks with confidence, rhythm, and also energy. And too many pauses sends the signal that you have bad genes. So you contrast the confident, high-value tonality. Let's talk about, okay. So is there a student that kind of gives off lots of pauses? Yeah, I remember the fat student always loves to pause. Oh yeah, they can definitely achieve the same thing this year if they wanted to. They just have to, stop acting like a fucking zombie. But it is harder this year, but they can achieve it if they take their supplements and they stop bench holding, but definitely. So it is harder. That means right now, because they're so ADHD, they need to start taking L-theanine. They have to get their things done. They've been procrastinating and lowering their emotional bank account. So it's not a matter if they can do it or not. It's more like they're turning too much into a zombie. Does that make sense? So the emotional tonality is the biggest issue when they're crashing out. They're having emotional issues because of the winner and loser effect. But yes, they can do it, but it is a little bit harder. But they need to start trying. They need to start applying. That's why I need more students that are not crashing out. So let's hear a tonality of somebody here.
From Russia that I met crazy to me. They just let me go say.
Okay, maybe there's a student who's like,
Situation.
I am one.
okay, this guy sounds
One
offended.
girl, one Mexican American, and two Latinas until today.
Two Latinas until today.
But John can help you out with that. He knows what to do.
I removed the pauses because it was too long.
He knows what you need.
So,
I am Indian American. I am 5'5".
And you
where's the fat guy?
And of course I'm going to Skype with him again to get that 6 fuck buddy. And I've already got 5. Hi, I want to do a video testimony for Tonality. It's got me
He's a little bit fast.
5 fuck buddies from Daygame. It's literally got me 4 hot Chinese women in a fivesome from Daygame. And it's literally got me a 9 out of 10 Latina from Daygame. And I've fucked all of them. And the recent ones I'm going to convert to fuck buddies, which will potentially be 10 fuck
This guy has a little bit of a depressed tonality.
buddies, which I've
You can hear it.
scheduled
He's a little bit
this
fast.
week, so I'm going to convert.
This guy was very suicidal. He was about to end his life, but I saved it by getting him laid. And then he started listening to me, but he went right back to white dating coaches. He started sucking their dicks off of their bodies, just literally like a vacuum cleaner. He just cannot help it because he gets triggered all the time. And he has a lack of emotional intelligence, and they become like backstabbers. So it does happen. Even after 10 fuck buddies, they'll still stab you in the back.
And the 9 out of 10 one, she works as a model. Anyone can do online game, anyone can do night game. Not many people can be successful from day game. I'm gaming in London, the city. I'm not gaming in no third world country where all you have to be is white. I want to do a video testimony for Tonality. He is the best day game coach in the world because he has literally got me my 9.5 out of 10 fuck buddy and turned her into my girlfriend. This was after I got 10 fuck buddies. I even accidentally fucked this fuck buddy's sister because she looks just like her. She's both blondes and Latinas, and I accidentally fucked her. But that won't happen again because her sister wants me and my girlfriend together. My girlfriend's literally 9.5 out of 10, and she is literally the best girlfriend in the world. And she is literally, she looks absolutely perfect, feature perfect. She's got great features, all, you know, she's absolutely excellent. And thank you, Charlie, for everything you've done for me.
Why learn Daygame?
Yeah, you can definitely hear it in their tonalities. So it didn't affect them as much, but now it's affecting them more. Because people, after like a couple years of the inflation, right, they feel like they're being strangled for more years. Does that make sense? That's the reason why. That's why they're crashing out. So you can see these tonality issues. Before, they were not penalized for it, but now they're getting more penalized. They're procrastinating longer. They're crashing out every week. I'm wondering which is the next student that's going to have such low self-esteem, and they're going to have the Latino fuck behavior, which is one-track mind, stubbornness, only like one step everything, throwing shit against the wall, see what sticks. The wrong path, the sociopath, and see what, like, they blow up in their face in 4 months. And then after that, there's going to be like they're going to have a meltdown. Lots of Latinos have meltdowns. One of my other students, that one you heard, right? The ABCs of attraction, former student. He works with Latinos in the hospital, at least of our patients. And lots of Latinos, not just a mental hospital, but just hospital. And they all have the same thing. They all have meltdowns. They all are all stubborn. Most of them work with their hands, like 97%. They never can do a job where it's all thinking. They have to touch something to do their job. That's how Latinos think. And they always crash out. They're always stubborn. They have low self-esteem. That's the difference between like purgatory, which is low self-esteem, versus the 5 traits. Because after the meltdown, that's number 3. Then number 4, it is the meltdown. And then they quit. Yeah, that's right. After they quit, they resurrect themselves and they start the whole process all over again. Latinos are too stubborn to fully quit. They'll redo it again and they'll fuck everything up, back to one-track mind, back to the wrong path to sociopath, back to like crashing out and then blaming everyone else and having a complete fucking meltdown. And then they're gonna quit and they're gonna do it again. And then after the 3rd time, they'll quit for good. That's a Latino. So I'm just saying, can they still do it? Yes. But are they like operating to the same level? No, they're not. They're crashing out. So it's kind of fucked up. So if you actually want to not crash out, you better follow everything in this video. Take L-theanine, finish all of your tasks. Do not half-ass anything. Do not procrastinate. Be like a laser beam, like a magnifying glass. The beam is pointed at a certain point. You gotta have laser focus and not take breaks. So when someone is confident and quick-witted, their speech flows effortlessly. They don't need to pause because their thoughts and words are perfectly aligned. Their tonality is smooth and deliberate and full of energy. They project certainty, which makes people want to listen to them. And here's the key. Confident people aren't afraid of silence. If they do pause, it's intentional. It's not awkward hesitation. It's deliberate moments to let the words sink in. This is what I call power pauses. A power pause is when you pause intentionally to emphasize a point or to create anticipation. It's a tool, not a crutch. And it's the complete opposite of the awkward pauses that caused by overthinking and super fast cortisol speech. So why do some people, they struggle with pauses? Now let's talk about why some people, right? Why they struggle with this issue, okay? For individuals with Asperger's or autism, even those who are just highly analytical on their left brain and their right ones don't communicate with each other as seamlessly as they should, this creates a delay in how they process and deliver information. It's like the brains are running on 2 different tracks and those tracks aren't aligned. And as a result, they pause awkwardly and speak too fast in an attempt to catch up. And also they're flooded with cortisol, overwhelming them. And here's the thing, women pick up on this. They might understand the neurological reasons behind it, but they sense that there's something is off. They feel like the conversation lacks rhythm, and that makes it hard for them to connect. Okay, I don't know why I'm talking British, right? It's a Brit speak. But, all right, stop speaking British, John. All right, this isn't about a judgment. It's just how humans are wired. we're naturally drawn to people who project confidence and control. And when someone's speech is full of awkward pauses, it sends the opposite signal. So the emotional component, let's take this a step further, okay? Awkward pauses aren't just about neurological disconnect. They're also tied to emotional control. When you're stuck in your head, it's often because you're overthinking. And overthinking is usually driven by anxiety, stress, or fear due to cortisol. And they always think to themselves, what should I say next? Am I saying the right things? What have I messed up? These are the thoughts that creates hesitation, which leads to more pauses. And the more you pause, the more you overthink. It's like a vicious cycle. It's almost like tango dancing and you're just fucking pausing in the middle of the dance. And she's like, what's going on? And now she's tripping over you. She's tripping over you. It's good that you protect the anonymity of your students. Oh yeah, of course. So the reason why some of the students' voices are like changed, they have a good reason for it. The ones who are not changed, they don't have a good enough reason for it. So they have to have a very compelling reason why I use a voice changer, so that way you cannot hear whatever, because they can get in trouble at work or something like that. So their job must be prestigious. So here's the thing, confident people don't get stuck in this cycle. They trust themselves. They trust that whatever they say will land well. Hey, do you guys think I should just like, once I finish this video, I should just bring it to the video section and not really cut it, just transfer it? Maybe I should do that. It might not get a lot of views, but I might remove this from the YouTube live section eventually and just leave it for the Facebook inner circle and remove it from the video section soon. Anyways, as trust allows their speech to flow naturally. It's like, John, didn't you think about these things? No, I just fucking do things. I don't think about it. It's all instinctual. I don't even know if it's gonna work or not, but very instinctual. So glad to be able to catch the stream, sending nothing but prosperity your way. John, cheers. Thank you very much, JP. Thank you very much. So what women feel is that when your speech is full of awkward pauses, women don't feel connected to you. They don't feel the rhythm, the flow, just like salsa or tango, or the energy that it creates for the attraction. Instead, they feel like something is off. It's not something that they consciously analyze. It's just a feeling. And that feeling is enough to break the connection. Because here's the truth. Attraction is emotional. It is not logical. It is not about the words you say. It's about how you make her feel. And your pauses make her feel very uncomfortable. The attraction disappears. Her legs start to slam shut. Her, you know what, dries up like the desert sand. So if you ever been told, here's the number 4, okay? Here's number 4. And this one you like. Have you ever been told that you sound robotic when you speak? It's not just your head. In your head, it's monotone. The delivery is one of the biggest attraction killers. Here's why women don't just listen to your words. They feel the energy behind them. If your voice is flat, emotionless, and you sound like you're reading a tech manual, they'll tune you out fast. This is why monotone, hey guys, I'm speaking monotone. A lot of students that are monotone, only one word goes up, and then the rest of it is kind of like this. And then when they're monotone, and then one word goes up again, and then it's just like, oh, monotone. And that's the thing. That's the problem with the monotone. You get it? Monotone people. Of course, you're saying like, well, what do you mean monotone? We want to hear what this sounds like, John. We're not really sure what it sounds like. Well, there's plenty of examples of monotone people. Listen, I'm just going through a video.
A week and a couple of change and got my land.
Okay, this is not monotone. Okay, this guy's kind of monotone. This Indian guy.
Finding out more about 0 results. 16.
Okay, so how about this? I'll just go through the testimonials. That'll be faster. Let's see, who's the most monotone students? Most of the monotone students, they actually take 3 months of proficiency. So 3 on P. The most monotone people will be this guy, engineer, obviously, Vietnamese. Let's hear. Okay.
Simple pickup. And those system doesn't work for Asian men.
See that?
Although I'm a tall 5'11".
I'm a tall 5'11" Asian man. I'm trying to sound excited. Now I'm trying to flirt with you. It's almost the same note, the way you speak.
Man, I am still not getting the result I want. I have done direct game, indirect game, and pretty much everything out there for about 5 years or so, and I got no result whatsoever until I discovered John. Now I have bought his products, and I have recently completed one of his boot camp. It was definitely a kick in the gear for me to really accelerate my learning curve in game, and I was able to really
Do you hear the pauses, guys? The autistic pauses?
to see what is good game look like. I was able to get some result during boot camp, and prior to boot camp, I got 2 lays and 4 pulls. One of the pool is during a blackjack table at Vegas. She was sitting down, and I just sit next to her and get to know her. I was able to connect with her and make her trust me and like me. And then I suggest we head to my place, and she agreed. Although I did not get that lay, I was able to pull successfully by myself, and it gave me the confidence to do the next lay. The next lay is we approach her on the street in the Vegas strips. We was able to make connection with her and help and connect with her, and she knows that we are fun and attractive guys, so she decided to come with us to our hotel, and then we take turn have fun with her. She was an 8 out of 10. During boot camp, I got a pool with a Mexican girl. She was a virgin, and I couldn't close the deal with her. I did not know how to deal with escalation in the bedroom. However, now I know since John taught me some techniques to deal with it. I also almost pull a 6'1" white girl, but I messed up. I could not get into the room with her. After that, at the airport going back home, I saw this white girl, and I approached her when she was in line. She was my first approach, and we both got delayed, so we stayed at the same hotel, and I was able to build trust with her, and we had to get a drink together. So I suggest we watch a movie at her room. She agreed, and then we both watched the TV, and then I escalated, and I was able to get some F close with her. That was my first white girl that I pulled by myself, and now I feel like I have confidence, the skill.
So that's not the only person who's monotone, but I just want you guys to hear what monotone sounds like. So there's a second monotone student that's Asian. This guy is super monotoned. This guy's from Toronto, and he had sex with a white girl, and then he got like 6 other lays in Mexico or something. This guy is here.
This is another update. So I've just gotten another lay with another Latina.
Yes, he was secretly trained in how to speak whitewashed and not to sound like monotone. So every time he sounds monotone, his results would disappear. But you're going to be penalized by your Asperger's syndrome more and more these days when you start speaking like this.
And this one was within 4 approaches. The earlier one was within 2 approaches, so it is well within the 1 to 6 approaches that John Elite has mentioned in his Daygame program. So with this
Obviously, he's an engineer, right? Asperger syndrome.
girl, Latina, I saw her walking on the streets, and I just approached her and opened using the methods that John taught me and his algorithms. And so we talked for a bit, and then we started walking together, and eventually we sat down some, and we kept talking, and I got her to open up using John's methods and set up a date for the next day. And the following day, we met up at a cafe where we talked some more, and eventually we left the cafe, and I walked her towards my home where we had sex. And again, I just want to reiterate that no crutches for use, no alcohol.
You see how monotone he sounds? Let's hear another engineer student, also 3 months of proficiency. So a lot of the engineers, usually the monotone guys, they love to take 3 months of proficiency. It's a little bit more expensive, or a lot more expensive than my other course, but it's worth it because they need more help. They're not normal, so they need the other course. Let's hear what this guy talks like.
Making this video today to talk about John Elite and my experience with his coaching. So a bit about myself.
Well, at least it went up here, so one note.
I'm a 5'7"
Two.
Chinese Asian from Southeast Asia that immigrated from there to the US. So currently I'm working in the US as a software engineer. And
It does go up and down a little bit. He is trained, but
you know, typical engineers, I was a very unsociable person, very logical, couldn't do small talk at all, very boring, very monotonous
exactly, very monotonous, monotone.
person. So didn't know how to talk to girls at all. But after going through John's program, just 2 weeks of it, not even the full thing yet, I was able to get laid with a white girl just yesterday. And so I met her at a mall.
Well, you get the point, right? They do actually sound like that. It's not like something I'm making up. But these days, you're going to be penalized more and more, and that's the difference. So you always wonder, like, what is the big difference between this year and last year? Well, it's the emotions. But why is monotone delivery so common, especially among engineers, the highly analytical men? And more importantly, how do you fix it? Let's break it down. The fourth issue is monotone delivery. I mean, this is... Engineers all have it. Seriously. Engineers all have it. And they're disconnected from their emotional side. A flat monotone voice. It lacks emotional variety. So it's kind of like music, right? But it's just all one note. That would be a very bad song, won't it? It makes you sound robotic, uninterested, and frankly boring. And boredom is the death of attraction. When your voice is monotone, it means you're not conveying any emotional range. It's not like they actually have emotions. They're Asperger's. Most of the Asperger students, the engineers, they don't technically feel emotions. This is one secret. They don't feel empathy. They don't actually get it. They're not sociopaths. They're more like psychopaths. So you're not showing excitement, curiosity, passion, or even basic enthusiasm. And here's the thing. Women mirror the energy they feel from you. And if your voice doesn't match or convey excitement, why would she feel excited to talk to you? If your voice doesn't convey curiosity, why would she feel curious about you? If your voice doesn't convey passion, why would she feel passionate about you? It's simple. Monotone delivery kills emotional connection, and without emotions connection, there's no attraction. Women perceive monotone delivery as boring. And boredom is one of the fastest ways to get filtered out. Think about it. Women are emotional creatures. They're wired to pick up on subtle cues in your voice, your body language, and energy. When your voice is flat and monotone, it sends a very clear signal that you're not fully present and you're just basically going through the emotions. And here's the kicker. Women can sense it when you're emotionally detached. They might not consciously think, oh, he's monotone, but they'll feel it. They'll feel like something's missing, like there's no spark or energy, or there's no life in this interaction. And that feeling is enough to make them lose interest. And let's go deeper. Monotone delivery often is tied to emotional detachment. And when you're not fully present in the interaction, your voice will reflect that. And maybe you're stuck in your head, overthinking every word. Maybe you're feeling anxious or stressed and is numbing your emotional range. Or maybe you're just not used to expressing emotions in your voice. Whatever the reason, the result is the same. Your voice sounds flat and lifeless. And here's where it gets even more interesting. The issue is particularly noticeable when you're interacting with white women. What? Why? Because culturally, white women are used to hearing a wide range of emotional expressions in conversations. Because most white dudes are like, hey bro, what's up, man? Yeah, I went there last weekend and stuff. It was so cool. They all fucking talk like that. So they're growing up in this environment where tonality is dynamic and engaging. White people talk like that. And here's the truth, okay? Here's something you don't want to hear. The ethnicities that have a higher social dominance, the white people, they're the most expressive. You're like, really? Yes, white people are the most expressive. Number two are the black people. Their face only moves halfway for white people, or for black people. For black students, they don't really express themselves, but they don't go full out like a white person. When you listen to a black person talk, they definitely do have like a black speech. I think there's several black people.
And I just copy and pasted it. And when I did,
there's a black student.
When you use your Skype with it, where I'll go into more detail.
His face will move 50% of a white person. Exactly 50 every time. You can hear.
Definitely have to go work out in the morning. So you don't ever take a day off? No. It has to be like Monday to Friday. I'm here with another update in what? About a week and a couple of change. And
you can't really see it, but
you let me know exactly what to text her, and I just copy and pasted it. And when I did that, she ended up coming out. And
he has a decent emotional range, you know, whitewashed. I told him not to speak too much Ebonics.
She said, I'll be there after work. And then when she came over.
The reason why he can move half his face, right, is the reason why he can sound halfway whitewashed.
Like after 20 minutes, got the laying job.
The fifth thing I want to teach you, and the fifth thing.
So, yeah. So if black people, that's why I'm not talking about like Negro black. I'm not talking about the Afro shitty looking jacket or the African blacks. I'm talking about the confident black man who is whitewashed, who basically is like dressed like a Zara man, right? Whitewashed. Those kind of confident black people, they have an infinite amount of SMV and confidence, because it's incongruent for a black man to be unconfident. When you're unconfident and you're black and you're overly slightly chubby, it's not gonna work because you're breaking the stereotypes. You need to be lean, show your muscles, and have the protector status and confidence. If you don't do that, you're just gonna struggle. So when you hear a monotone voice, it stands out in a very bad way. It feels unnatural, uncalibrated, and unappealing. And because of that, they filter you out almost immediately. So let's contrast this with someone that uses engaging, high-value tonality. When your tonality is dynamic, it shows that you're fully present in the interaction. It shows that you're emotionally connected to what you're saying, and that emotional connection is contagious. When you speak with excitement, curiosity, or passion, like an Asian, she feels it. She mirrors the energy that you're projecting, and that's when you create attraction. Because here's the truth, women aren't attracted to your words. They don't care. They're attracted to the emotional energy behind your words, and your tonality is what conveys that energy. So let's talk about this monotone delivery and why it's so common among engineers. Many men in these fields are trained to think logically and analytically because they're Asperger's. They're used to solving problems, not expressing emotions. And this logic mindset often carries over in their communications. Instead of speaking with emotional variety, they speak with precision, but no passion. Some men struggle to connect with their emotions. They might feel numbed, disconnected, or even uncomfortable expressing emotions. And this emotional detachment shows up in their tonality. Many men don't even realize they're speaking in a monotone voice. They're so focused on the content of their words that they forget about the delivery. But here's the thing, delivery matters more than content. You could say that the most interesting thing in the world, but your voice is monotone. But no one will care. In some cultures or social environments, the emotional expression is discouraged. Men are taught to be stoic, reserved, and serious. And while there's nothing wrong with being stoic, it becomes problematic when it turns into emotional suppression. Because when you suppress your emotions, you suppress your tonality. When you're interacting with a woman and she wants to feel something, she wants to feel excitement, curiosity, and passion, even playful teasing. But she wants to feel like she's talking to someone who's alive, who's engaged, who's present and in the moment. But when your delivery is monotone, she feels absolutely nothing. She feels like she's talking to a robot, and robots don't create attraction. Monotone delivery is one of the biggest killers of attraction for engineers. It signals emotional detachment, a lack of presence, and low value. Women don't just hear your words, they hear your emotional energy behind them. And if your voice doesn't convey that energy, they'll lose interest. So if you want to create connection, attraction, you need to move beyond monotone delivery. You need to develop emotional variety in your tonality. Because when your voice is dynamic, engaging, and full of life, women will feel it. And that's what makes the difference between being filtered out and being remembered. So, number 5. Ever wonder why some guys walk into a room instantly commands respect while others goes completely unnoticed? It's not just about looks or height. It's about volume. The way you project your voice sends a primal signal of confidence or weakness. You know, most of the biggest issues of 2025, I'm going to tell you guys, the biggest issue is the quietness. A lot of my students, when they talk to women in 2025, their volume is only like 15%. Excuse me real quick, I have a question. I was just looking for a place called Zara. Do you know where I can find it? Oh, by the way, I just noticed something about you. I just noticed that you are X plus Y. Are you Z? I'm talking super fast. Monotone, low volume. And why is it low volume? Because they have small lungs. When you hear them doing breathing exercises, they're breathing like they're like sipping the air. They're like, so I tell them to breathe in for 4 seconds, right? And hold their breath, right? For a certain amount of seconds and then breathe out. One of the exercises to expand their lung capacity. But for them, some of them have short lungs. They're trying to get 4 seconds of air in. And they hold. You're like, well, what the fuck? Your lungs is not like that. Why don't you try it? Breathe in. Really breathe in for 4 seconds. Count it. 1, 2, 3, and 4. What's going to happen when you do that is that you're going to sip in the air like... That's what you sound like. You sip in the air. You're like literally sipping like you're sipping a drink. And you're like, no way that's possible. That sounds stupid. I would say that 90% of the students sound so quiet. They're sipping in the air. This is not some made up bullshit. They're literally sipping in the air. The biggest issue. And whenever you run out of oxygen, if you're like an angry Latino, you will start to sound angry. Like Arnold Schwarzenegger. Sound like, get to the chopper. Okay, so, and then if they freeze up, then they start to sound depressed. When they start freezing up and giving the depressed sigh. When they're a runner, they'll sound like very scared. They're like talking really fast, and they sound like the runner, and you just cannot wait to get out the interaction. Get it? So fight, flight, and freeze will determine your tonality. Which one are you? Are you the fighter? Are you the freezer? Or are you the flighter? Who knows? So as you speak with women too softly, women won't even realize why, but they'll start to lose interest. Here's the lack of volume, and it's killing your presence and how you fix it. The fifth issue is the lack of volume. I mean, speaking too softly sends a message of weakness and insecurity, as if you're afraid to take up space or to be heard. And trust me, it's creepier when you start speaking in a quiet voice. You'd be like, hey, this sounds super sketchy when you talk like this with her. Super, super sketchy. So don't be sketchy. When you speak quietly, it's like you're apologizing for existing. And that's not the energy women are drawn to. Women are attracted to men who command attention, confidence, and men who owns the space. When you speak, your voice is too soft. It's like you're shrinking yourself. Think about how's that come across. If you sound like you don't believe in what you're saying, why should anyone else? I think there is actually a student that sounds like that. I remember a Chinese student. He was very suicidal. I saved his life. He said if he did not get laid with my coaching, he will end his own life. Luckily, that did not happen. I saved his life, and he's still alive today. But he's very, very quiet. So I know there's a few quiet people, but he's very quiet. I could be wrong, but I remember him as being a little bit quiet. So let's hear what he sounds like. Let's see that student. Here.
Just trying to apply RSD concepts for so long.
She's a little bit quiet.
Approaching people but getting no results. And seeing people who don't even know game do better than me. I guess it made me really suicidal and just wonder what the hell's wrong with me. And why am I in this situation? And what could I be doing so wrong? Following the wrong system really screwed me over for a couple of years.
See how quiet that is? You can't even hear the words he's saying.
So I think that's something that really made me Hi, I'm making a video testimonial for Tonality. I'm one of his recent students, and
Yeah, he's rolling the words, and you can hear it, but I turn up the volume. He's not that loud.
Just recently lost my virginity under his training. And I'd like to talk about my
How would he sound like in real life?
And my journey.
Like this.
A little about myself. I'm an Asian American living in a major U.S. city.
I'll turn it on.
And before I met John, I was still a virgin.
See, it's really hard to hear. Like, you hear it, but you struggle to hear it. It pisses people off when you're quiet.
In my 20s. And I had a lot of fears and doubts and insecurities. I was getting older, and I wasn't seeing any progress on the dating side of things. And I'd just come out of the pandemic, and I hadn't spoken to any women in like years because I was just living at home focusing on work. And even though I had career success, I still felt very lonely.
He has a very Asperger's job.
In life.
He's a bit monotone too, so
And like there was something deeply wrong with me.
he's rolling the syllables fast. Kind of like rolling the words really quick. You can hear it.
So I was watching and reading like a lot of black pill content.
Ooh.
Things that are talking about like my
You can sound he's very depressed in his tonality, what we talked about.
race, like I'm the wrong race. Like I should not be Asian American, I should be white. I should not be like whatever my height is, I should be 6 foot tall. Like my jawline's not good enough. I was very insecure and very sad and lonely.
Yeah, very sad. You can hear it in his voice.
Very depressed. And I felt like I just wanted things to change. And I felt like I was in this nightmare that just wouldn't go away. And I feel like a lot of people...
Makes me depressed just listening to this. What the fuck? You see, the tonality is destiny.
Are kind of experiencing that. And you might be experiencing that if you're looking into John's training. So that was kind of the state I was in when I met John. I was very depressed, very desperate. And my reaching out to him was like a last-ditch effort to try to lose my virginity this year. So
before meeting John, I tried out RSD stuff for a couple of years, but none of it really worked. Like I tried Todd V stuff especially, and it just didn't help. It helped a little, but I never got any real results off of it. And I was just feeling pretty down, and I was pretty skeptical about any game working. Like if John's stuff didn't work out, I probably would have just gave up on game altogether. Just trying to apply RSD concepts for so long, approaching people but getting no results, and seeing people who don't even know game do better than me. I guess it made me really suicidal and just wonder like what the hell's wrong with me, and why am I in this situation, and like what can I be doing so wrong? Following the wrong system like really screwed me over for a couple of years. So I think that's something that really harmed me in the end. But
don't say a lot, because that's very unconfident.
Stood out to me about John's content is
You can hear kind of what he sounds like. He sounds a little bit depressed. Not that much of a sigh yet, but he's very depressed.
a lot of it reflected what I thought and feel. Like I was being too gamey, or I didn't have social skills. A lot of stuff that John says is very accurate about Asian men when they do game. And that's why I really wanted to train under him. So when I wanted to train under him, I was still very skeptical about getting scammed. I never paid for a course or a boot camp before, but I was really desperate, and I was pretty sure that John knew what he was talking about. So I told John my fears, like maybe I'm not good looking enough, maybe I'm not tall enough. And he just made me go through a mindset playlist before I could work with him.
The same fucking mindset playlist that my students go through now. So all the old technologies from before is all top secret and kept from you. Only Elite Access knows about this. But I'm revealing more and more in the Elite Tonality Mastery course. But I'm not here to pitch. I'm just here to open people's minds.
And even though he didn't want to work with me, take me on, he took me on after I finished the playlist and said that I could probably finish his training then.
A lot of Latinos, they'll take like a whole month to finish the mindset playlist. There's 26 videos, and they have to write down 10 takeaways each, 260. And then afterwards, for a week after they become slow in unteachable cases, they have to write down all their mistakes under the 260. When a student is so evil and malevolent, it's like, oh, I already done that. It's like, they usually get kicked out when they say they don't want to do it again. They're so lazy. There's something wrong with their mindsets for Latinos. So,
actual training was very regimented, very tough. I think John comes across as a very unstructured, kind of playful, funny person in his videos. But John is very serious about his training, and he has very high standards.
Yeah, snowflakes do not like my training. They're like, oh, why do I have to work so hard? I've already done it once, so therefore I pump my state, like RSD. No, you gotta break habits. Sometimes you gotta overdo things, like you're drilling for oil. When you're drilling for oil, you gotta focus on one activity until you hit the fucking oil. Don't you understand? If you start drilling at too many different places, you're never gonna hit the oil. And hitting the oil is just a metaphor for getting that skill down and raising your emotional bank account. So Latinos and Indians, which I've noticed this year, are crashing out, and they're just being lazy and procrastinating. So, how you deal with anxiety, not with a wing? I'll answer that question a little bit later. But I think overall, there's multiple things you can do. You can just walk up to them and pretend you have a phone call, right? And then you walk backwards, and then, does that make sense? You'd be like, you're like almost up to her, right? Then you turn around, you pretend a phone call. Hello? Hey, John, how's it going? What? Crypto went up again. And then you just keep talking. And then you get used to walking up to her and doing that until you lower your fear. Does that make sense? Your fear can start from 9 out of 10, and it becomes lower and lower. Because you're never physically approaching, there's no consequence. But you get your body used to always approaching all the time, launching yourself like a torpedo. And then you can turn around. There's no consequences. You can do it as often as you want until the fear goes down. All right. We're getting a little bit off topic, right? Normally, it's a good thing you ask questions before, but I felt like answering that one. But yes, monotone.
Things that you said when you're completing tasks. He has a very, very high standard, which caught me by surprise. Yeah, the first month is body language. The second month
you're right. This I mean, people are not doing as well. I'm gonna kick out another student. Let's see, of my group. So I'll kick out this Latino guy. Okay, Marco, you're out of this fucking group because you're fucking slow, you fucking zombie. I just kicked out another person. Remove lazy Marco Van Dam. Alright, fuck off. Alright, let's continue. Because he reminded me of the standards I have. Yes, I have very high standards. If he's not gonna meet it, so you can see that Latinos are crashing out. Latinos, especially this year, are acting like unteachable cases. But he got many lays before. So
is more social skills. In the third month, you're just gonna go out in the field probably, or at least that's how it was for me.
yeah, he was a little bit slower, so he had to learn piece by piece. I taught him more about the body language. He did not like it because the first month I drilled down his body language. I know I shouldn't do that because I knew he was suicidal. I needed to build the skills and install it within him. Most of the people, unless they take Kaizen program, they don't get to work at something like this.
And I was one of the more unteachable cases, just because of my bad mindsets and black pill stuff and everything like that. So overall, like John's training, I don't think I was prepared at all because it was just very rigorous physically. But it was all like worth it because John teaches you those things to drill them down as habits, so you can look good in the field.
I keep telling you these things, then the zombies are like, "Oh, what habits? RSD? Aren't you supposed to mass approach? But it's all game tactics, half-ass tactics. I don't get it. I'm triggered. My state is off now, John, because you're too tough. I'm triggered. I'm hurt. You're a bully." Like, fuck you.
So you can get results. John really only cares about getting results in the field, to be quite honest. Overall, like John is super professional. He responds to you in a timely manner. He breaks down everything in an easy way for you. He's a very high character, and he expects you to work hard as well.
Unless you're Latino, right? You ain't gonna do shit.
And it's all for the sole purpose of getting you laid, and building this skill and habit that can last you a lifetime. So overall, the training was very tough on me. But later on, when I went out in the field, I was still having some trouble because I couldn't execute properly, just because of like being alone, alone and being living at home for a long time. It'd been a long time since I'd approached, and I was still having approach anxiety and just like things like that. I was having trouble, and my city's also got a bad rep for people who cold approach, so it was kind of hard. But every interaction, John could figure out where it went wrong, and he knows his mind says that every set can be turned around, which I agree with now. Because every set, even though I thought it was my looks or height, there was something I did wrong, and there was.
How many times did he say Like over like 35 times.
That I could point to that turned it sour. So John is very on point with his observations, and he will do everything he can to help you out. His infield analysis is very in-depth.
Yeah, when I tell a Latino, right, your tonality sounds like fucking depressed and angry, they're like, I can't hear it. Like, they get triggered. Oh, you're just being a bully. You're not telling the truth. Anybody else will think it's not like that. And then I play it to all the other Latinos, they cannot hear it either. Latinos don't have emotional intelligence. This is the gospel. Don't get offended. This is just the gospel of game. The truth. The truth will set you free. That means you have to adapt, Latinos.
He can even tell like when the girl is like has positive IOI or really likes you. He's very keen on all these things, and it makes sense because he's like a 5'7" Asian. He doesn't have a lot going for him naturally. He has to learn by skill and by field testing everything. So everything that John really says is really field tested, and he really cares. So after a bit of getting rejections, it might be an unteachable case. I later met this girl, and I just let the skills take over, like what John told me, like the flirting and the escalation.
and it sort of just went really smoothly from approach to lay. Everything that John told me was just what I did, and it's sort of crazy because the things that I did, like the girl will comment on now, like my fashion or the way I put my hand on her shoulder and compliment me on it, and it's all stuff that John recommended. So John is very smart and very tactical, and he's field tested everything. There's nothing really that he teaches that hasn't been field tested. I think that's very valuable as a dating coach because a lot of people are just giving out advice that haven't been field tested and they're just going off their value. But John really cares, and things were not easy to get the lay either. I had bedroom issues, performance issues. I would just go soft when I put on it.
Yeah, that's just common among the students that have a lot of cortisol and they're triggered. They usually cannot get hard. They always, when they put a condom on, it just goes soft immediately. That's very common for a lot of the students. So you gotta learn how to downclock your nervous system to relax.
Condom. And John even had advice for that, and he would tell me what to text and what to do at all points of the conversation. And he was just very helpful the entire time, always in my ear, always trying to get me to lay. Overall, John is a very solid ally to have on your side when you're going through this type of problem.
Unless you're a Latino, you're resistant and you have a crash out and then you lose your fucking mind. And then you blame it all on me, I'm the bully, right? Fucking assholes.
I really can't commend him enough for his help. And overall, like if you had to ask me, John is an excellent dating coach. He really cares about his students, and he just wants to see you succeed. He doesn't really care about spiritual vibration bullshit or meditation or even like your hobbies or anything like that. He just wants to see you get laid. So overall, I can't help but recommend him if you're in a similar situation, like being a virgin in your 20s or being Asian, anything like that. He will help anyone, to be honest, and he cares.
Except unteachable cases. I mean, these days I see it. Back then, there was no unteachable cases.
So much. Even though he's like very rough in his trainings,
this guy is an impossible case because he's emotional and he's still coachable. So therefore, he's an impossible case, just a bit slow. However, he is not an unteachable case. An unteachable case will shoot down all your ideas. They'll have a one-track mind. They have to do it their way. They're extremely stubborn. They'll crash out because they're bad decisions. They'll have meltdowns. They'll quit. They'll come back, and then they'll do the same shit again. It's just like ridiculous.
He does it because he cares about his student.
All right, so for him, let's use an analogy to explain this. Your lungs are like a bagpipe. When your bagpipe is small or weak, you won't have air to project your voice. And when you can't project, you sound quiet, insignificant, and forgettable, like this guy. Women associate low volume with low confidence. And if they have to strain to hear you, they'll subconsciously assume that you're not worth listening to. They might even realize that they're thinking that it's automatic because it's how humans are wired, because volume isn't just about being loud. It's about commanding attention. It's about showing that you're comfortable in your own skin and confident in what you're saying. When your bagpipes is weak, you run out of air mid-sentence. And when that happens and you start speaking faster to compensate, but we already discussed speaking too fast is a huge turnoff. It makes you sound nervous, uncalibrated, and low status. Everything is connected. And when you lack volume, you lack presence. And when you lack presence, you lack the ability to command respect. Women pick up on this instantly. And they don't hear just your words. They hear the energy behind them. And your voice is soft and it's timid. And they feel like you're unsure of yourself. And you're unsure of yourself. And how can you make them feel secure? Volume is one of those most primal signals of confidence. You want to shake her fucking ovaries when you talk. It's not about yelling or being obnoxious. It's about speaking with enough power to show that you're comfortable taking up space and that you're not afraid to be heard. And when you speak with a good volume and people naturally pay attention, it's not just about what you're saying, it's about how you're saying it. Imagine you're in a loud room when someone speaks so quietly that you have to lean in to hear them. What happens when you start to lose interest? You start to feel like they're not worth the effort. Now imagine that someone who speaks clearly, who with enough volume to cut through the noise, and you don't have to strain to hear them. Their voice carries authority. You feel drawn in, like they're saying, like what they're saying really matters. And the difference is that women feels like they're talking to someone who's confident, who presents, who is present in the moment and in control. And when your voice is too soft, it sends the opposite message. It makes you seem like you're hesitant, unsure, and lower value, talking super fast. Here's the thing, women don't like consciously analyze this, but they don't sit there and think, oh, his voice is too quiet. It's all subconscious. They just feel it. They feel it like something is off and like you're not fully there. And the feeling is enough to make them lose interest. Volume is also tied to how much you value yourself. If you don't think your words are worth hearing, why would anybody else? Speaking softly can come across as apologetic, like you're afraid of imposing on others. But women don't want a man who apologizes for existing. They want a man who can own his space, a man who can speak like he has something important to say. And here's the kicker. When you speak with a good volume, it doesn't just make you more attractive, it makes you feel more confident. The act of projecting your voice sends a signal to your brain that you're in control. It creates a feedback loop. And the more confident you sound, the more confident you feel. And the more confident you feel, the more attractive you become. It's all connected. When you lack volume, you're not just hurting your communications, you're hurting your presence. You're making it harder for people to connect with you. You connect, and connection is the foundation of attraction. So if you want to make an impact, you need to speak with enough volume to command attention. Not just from women, but from everyone around you. Because the way you speak is a reflection of how you see yourself. If you speak softly like you're afraid to be heard, people will treat you like you're insignificant. But if you speak with power like your words matter, people will listen. And that's what a woman wants. They want a man who speaks with confidence and presence and authority. A man who isn't afraid to take up space. Because when you speak like you're like that, you're not just commanding attention, you're showing that you value yourself. And when you value yourself, others will value you too. So yeah, that's number 6. So what is number 6? What's the next one? All right, question. Can an Asian achieve more than 1 or 2 for status, like in their city with majority of Asian demographics? I don't think they can achieve more than 1 point, unfortunately. So it's not 1 or 2 points, right? You only get maybe like a little bit more points if you're like in a Latin country or a third world country, because you're a passport bro, you raise your status, you have a third world money status advantage, a higher status job, which is higher than the locals. You probably have a better lifestyle in your Instagram because you got money. And you also have the exotic advantage. So you can raise a few points, but that's why ABC's of low self-esteem company, that's the reason why they just keep going to Latin countries to raise their status. But however, they just don't get students late for Daygame very often, only once in Mexico after all these years. So that's the truth, is that Asians in Western countries like North America only has 1 point. And if you're Asian washed and you're completely just wearing black clothing with shitty hair, then guess what? You're 0 points. 0. Okay? So most guys don't even know that their voice is working against them in Daygame for white women. You need to have a whitewashed tonality. Whitewash tonality is one of the most important skills for minorities to master. It's not about erasing your identity or pretending to be someone you're not. It's about adapting your communication style to connect better with people you're interacting with. You know what? There is somebody here that does sound like a whitewash person that I remember. There's one student over here. Let's hear what he sounds like. So, all right, let's look at that WhatsApp group again. Okay. There was a Taiwanese student who sounds very whitewashed. So, let's find out where he is. In Taiwan, it's not a real country. So let's see. Where's Mr. Taiwan? Oh fuck, I can't even find him. Damn. Oh, here's a Vietnamese guy.
I'm a Vietnamese guy, 5'8", didn't have much of value, minority.
First of all, he fucks this woman. He makes her, this Latina, his girlfriend. And then afterwards, he fucks her sister because this woman died of liver problems. And he's with the sister now who's hotter. He upgraded. I know that sounds very fucked up, but here's a picture of him. That's his woman over there. That's his lay over there.
In America, I met this girl at alcohol store. She was Latina.
Super cortisol speech.
When here, I noticed she was beautiful. So I talked to her and she was into me, the way I dress, the way I talk. After the conversation ended, she invited me back to her house. She said, let's try out the vodka. So we did, and we met out finger. When she passed out, she did become my girlfriend for a while, but not a late until now. She finally gave in 2 days ago, and I lose my virginity. So I was so happy.
And I always wanted to get laid before I joined the military.
Okay, so black student. Where's the other whitewash Asian guy? I could probably find him somewhere else, but he's definitely here somewhere. There's so many testimonials that these are unreleased, by the way. A lot of these testimonials have never been heard the time, like they never been like public. And you're like, what the fuck? Why don't you release some of these testimonials? Because I have too many. So, question. Okay, same question. So,
my actions.
here's the guy. Okay, this one is unreleased so far. The first one's released. Second one's not.
We went on an instant date. We went shopping together. We basically spent the entire day together. And then she...
See, his tonality is whitewash. It moves up and down.
Invited me over to her house, and we were giving each other massages, and then, you know, kind of just went where it went. It'll just make conversations flow, and getting those same-day lays will start coming, and hopefully even more friends with benefits in the future. At least that's what I'm going for. Hey guys, I wanted to give an update on my Elite 30.
Yeah, this one has not been released yet. You're like, well, what the fuck? I reserve the right to release it when I want to. People are ignoring my video testimonials. They're acting like super poor now. They're just like, they're acting like, tariff. We're all afraid of the tariff, you know, John. We're afraid of the Doge. We're afraid of Elon Musk because the tariffs. They're afraid because I don't want to wear this hat because I don't want to mess up my, you're right? I don't want to mess up my hair. But this guy sounds whitewashed. Make sure you ask question ahead in case I have to go back and go through everything.
And I have 2 late stories to tell you about how we drove to the top of a...
Read the blue thing over there. Just write the word question like everyone else. At least that way I can organize it in case I miss anything. I can scroll back later.
A lot.
when we were hooking up. So that was really fun, and we were friends with benefits now, so not just friends. The second one, found a really cute girl, started chatting her up, and then me and the girl separated from the group when we were deciding to go get food. So we were hanging out almost the entire day, just having a great time. And then she pulls me into the bathroom at the restaurant, and we're having a little bit of fun in the stall.
There was even during COVID, there was two girls. One was Colombian Czech, just walked up to her outside the SkyTrain, was chatting, this, that.
It's another student, so he got like over like 30 something lays with my coaching for this one. Okay, yeah, that's good. Just write the word question like that, right? It's easier to organize, so I can go back and just look at them rather than read all of them. I don't have the time.
And, going back to our place and just when in doubt, whip it out. So that was one of them. There was one chick I finger banged on the street.
This guy's very monotone.
Blonde, young blonde, 18-year-old blonde. She couldn't get into one of the bars, so she's standing out there, and we're chilling, talking. I was just bugging her, joking around about it, and being social. And boom, she's just like, make out with me right now. She's like, come grab me. And I was like, okay. She's like, I started fingering her right on the street. So I got that. And I wanted to just chat about one of the same.
The funny thing about this student is that he doesn't actually use like a payment processor to pay me. He literally will come up to me in real life and give me cash and stick it under my door. So for this student, he's also in Vancouver. He just sticks it under my door and drives away.
So I was at the hot dog stand on Granville Street, and the girl opened, and
let's see the question. Okay, what makes students testimonials? Do they get any benefits? They get no benefits whatsoever from making a testimonial. They don't get any money. They're not actors. They're not AI. They're not anything like that. The only benefit they get is that they're happy that they got laid and they feel gratitude. So I usually ask them right after they get laid, and they always say yes. It's the best time to ask somebody for a testimonial when they got laid. They're in the best mood. You don't want to wait too long to ask for them. So if you ask them like after like a month, they won't give you a video testimonial. It's that simple. So, yeah, once they get their dick wet, they're super happy. So you always want to strike when the iron's hot. So you always want to ask them for a testimonial. I don't tell them what to say or anything like that. So if they sound kind of like somebody once said like, oh, they sound like they're actors, they're reading from a script. No, they're not. They're just autistic and they have a lot of tonality issues. So they all talk like that. So even in real life, they all talk the same way. It's just like they're talking in their camera, but I just say, make me a video testimonial, and then I just censor their face and just throw it on fucking YouTube. And then everyone else gets to see it from the inner circle. They all congratulate the person, like, oh, congratulations on the lay. And then that's what happens. They don't get a single fucking thing. For ABCs of Attraction, their students, for making a written testimonial, they get a free course, like a digital product. You don't get nothing from me. The only thing you get is not being yelled at from me. That's the only thing you get from me, right? You only get a congratulations. You're not being yelled at now. You got your dick wet. So now that you're grateful, make me a video testimonial. And they're like, yes, sir. And then they do it. And then I say, make it good. And they're like, whatever. The only thing I tell them is just make sure you tell them what the date is. That's all. Because they want to know when it happened. So they don't actually get anything. They just don't get punched in the face. That's what they get. They don't get yelled at. So they get nothing. They literally get nothing. ABCs, right? Not only does ABCs of Attraction, they also sometimes write that person's testimonial. Even their former coaches, right? The Galilean gentleman. And also ABCs. One of the person here that's always on YouTube Live, they rewrote for ABCs his testimonial on the sales letter for their boot camps. He has like women kissing him on the cheeks, and then all of a sudden, they say they used Photoshop to change his social media. He didn't get anything for it, but they changed whatever he's writing. But the other student, the other guy that sounds depressed, he got like a free product and stuff. You get nothing. So if you get laid here, the only thing you get is not getting kicked out. That's the only thing you get, is not being yelled at. You get nothing from me. Like, you get less than nothing. You don't even get a congratulations. You get nothing. The only thing you get is your video testimonial being posted because you fucking won. And you're in the fucking Hall of Fame, not... Yeah. So, good question. Do you think these style testimonials can be faked? I don't think anyone has ever faked a testimonial before. Like, for any coach. Because it's too risky. The only one that could be fake is a written testimonial, like the former ABC coaches. All these testimonials are 100% real. So if a guy has 30-something legs and he banged a model, he fucking banged a model. It's that simple. And I met him in real life. It's like, are you guys skeptical of my testimonials recently? Because I know a lot of students got married and a lot of them procreated, right? And it seems so unbelievable, but they're all real. They're all real people. Because this is what some other person said. Because I showed it to my former black student with 100 lays with my training. And he's like, whoa, all your testimonials are all student married or procreating. I was like, yeah, we're not the same. He's like, oh, I only have 10% of what you have. And I said, no, you don't. I got 81 times more. Let's do the math. He's like, fuck. Like, you have 8. I have like fucking 660 video, like, laid in po testimonials. And a lot of video testimonials. We're not the same level. Please teach me, John. Please give me more training. Not yet. Please mentor me again. No. They don't get anything. So these are all real. This guy has gotten nothing. Literally nothing. So.
Yeah, we ended up jumping in a cab, going back to her place, and I banged her. And
he has to pay for everything.
And yeah, I got a model Instagram girlfriend, and same thing, just social skills, treating.
Yeah, he has a model girlfriend too.
Normal, good vibe, intelligence, and all this kind of stuff. And what happens when you learn?
Okay, so some people say, well, if you use those AI images inside your advice videos, then they make it suspicious that your testimonials are AI. My video testimonials was there since 2016. So it's not AI, it's been there for years. None of them are fake. Every single video testimonial is real. I had a couple of students, like that London guy, he actually given another testimonial to another stupid coach called, like, people go gay for Gabriel Gray. A tall, good-looking coach. He cannot stop sucking his dick. But that coach was like, hey, you made a testimonial for Johnny Lee, right? He also, they screenshot one of his testimonials, but it's also, he made a video testimonial for me. Sometimes a student will give credit for another coach because they're learning from multiple courses, but it's always my stuff that works. I had this fucking stupid German guy recently, comes here, he crashes out, right? He was like, they're always crashing out. He was like, after he crashed out, another student crashed out. And he blamed it on me. He was like, I was like, dude, I got you fucking laid on Kaizen. You went to another boot camp. You got laid in like half, it's like in a few hours because of my training. You fucking asshole. And then they give credit other places, but they say it's all John. Really, most of it's John. And then other people, this Indian guy who got laid with my coaching, and then he starts giving a fucking, like, he starts texting another coach saying, like, I got laid, and they screenshot that. Fuck you, you motherfuckers. I got you laid. I put in the work for that Indian guy. I changed your fucking fashion. I changed your hairstyle. I mentored you, and you fucking stabbed me in the back. The guy from Australia. Benchwood Indians, they gotta stab you in the back. But those 3 students, right? Outside of that, right? I fucking hate it when people give testimonials to others. And then this other guy from Thailand, because he didn't identify with me, he got like 3 lays, he gave it to a white dating coach instead. It's like, why? Because I identify with them. Fuck you. People like that are just scumbags, backstabbers. But yeah, whenever I have students like that, I fucking hate that.
Stuff, and you learn John Elite's 30.
It's all from me. And that's the funny thing. A lot of their fucking bootcamp stuff, their students already got laid over here, so they go over there because they need to worship, and then they don't make me a video testimonial, and they make the other coach do a fucking testimonial. It's fucking annoying. But yes, every single testimonial of mine are 100% real. None of them are faked all these years. If it costs money to pay these actors, how many fucking people do I have to pay? I will be bankrupt. It's ridiculous. Just think about it logically. Not a single one of these are faked. This is a real person from Vancouver. I met him. I have a picture with him. Like standing next to him. He actually knows where I live. So he comes over here and he gives me money. to pay for the Elite Playbook, which he loves. He should go back to Elite 30, and for Elite Access, and he also pay for Inner Circle. He just pays me in cash. So, but yeah, I don't pay them shit. You still have the live boot camps? When is time? So, for the boot camps, right? They're mostly at the time, right? When the pandemic happened, I just stopped teaching boot camps. I didn't want to catch COVID, and I did catch COVID. I nearly died. So I'm waiting until there's zero COVID, and I'll teach it again. So it's not a problem. You can always, like, in the future, when there's no COVID, I'll teach as many boot camps as possible. There's a huge waiting list. Lots of people already on the waiting list. They already paid me fully for a 10-day boot camp. But they can always come back at any time in the future. It's not a problem. So, but right now, I'd rather focus on Elite Bundle 2, which is now renamed to Elite Bundle Resurrections. Yeah, Elite Bundle Resurrections. So this one has a new Elite Tonality Mastery course. And that's the thing. It's actually included now. So that way I don't have to do so much work on Elite Access. But because when I teach people online, it's kind of like teaching an army. I could teach like fucking 50 people online and get more lay testimonials. I'm not getting as many students. That's why you don't see as many lay testimonials. Not because I can't get them and they're unteachable cases for some, but I'm just not getting as many new students. People are acting very poor, and that's not good. This is why I made this challenge, to show people they're crashing out. You got to invest in yourself. You can't punish the coach. So when you stop teaching the 100 lay student, oh, you mean the black student, right? With 100 lays. I have certain reasons. He became a coach. And at first I was like, what the fuck? Right? I'm teaching you while you're teaching others. And I got really pissed off. So I say, fuck you. I have a policy of not teaching coaches. And I just abandoned him. So that's why. I know it doesn't seem fair, but that's him over here. Listen. This is the guy, 100 lays.
Romantic sexual bullshit that only has 4 escalation ladders. That works. Check out some of these testimonials. I'll turn off the camera.
All right, here's
so
the black person.
See it. Like I said, some of these are new. Check it out. It's fucking awesome. You're gonna love.
You probably never heard this one before.
An update. Testimonial of the taxi in 5
He's a little bit monotone. He is Asperger's. Too logical for his teaching.
minutes, and then put her to the hotel. The room was empty, so I closed within 30 minutes. I closed the deal, and the second one happened. That happened was in the street.
He still wants to be a student. He said he'll pay anything to train with me again, to be mentored, and he wants to license out my system, even if it costs $100,000, and I teach him how to get testimonials. He's willing to do that. If he earns that, he will pay me $100,000. Just so, and he says, please make me part of your team. So he'll change his last name to Elite, and I said no.
I met this blonde. The first girl was a brunette.
I'm kind of like John Wick. I don't work with other people. I'm not good with working with other people. I'm like a Sigma male. A lone wolf.
The second one was a blonde girl that I met. The first one was from Ukraine, and the second one was a blonde girl from Russia that I met. And she was actually very, very famous. And she was kind of a world champion or something. So the second one, I got there and on the instant, like within 10 minutes, less than 10 minutes, and we had drinks.
Yeah, he's not allowed to teach his students the same way I taught him. So he's not allowed to do like the same things I teach. So if there's anything similar, I can call him out and say, don't teach that. That was for you, not for others. But yeah, that's the reason why I stopped teaching him, was because I found out he was an instructor. Then later he asked me for a blessing. He says, if I want him to stop teaching, he'll stop teaching. And I said, no, keep teaching.
And then I pulled out to the hotel room that was empty that day, and I closed the deal again. So, yeah, without even using any game or anything, just being myself, just projecting the Elite 30 things.
Okay, question. Did you used to be I have no comment on that. But one thing I can say is that romantic stuff does not work for low SMV Asians, and I think the most important thing to realize is that if you use romance, then you need to use alcohol, And when you need to use alcohol in the bedroom, that's not good. And you need to use heavy bedroom escalation. That's not game. That's rape. So that's all I gotta say about that.
That's absolutely fucking crazy to me.
And I was able to chat up a 21-year-old, a solid 8 out of 10, at the subway station. Talk a bit, invite her for a smoothie to my place. We started making out, we got naked, I fingered her hard, and she was demanding to get it harder and harder. She gave me a blowjob. She deep-throated me. One thing led to another, so yeah.
Oh yeah, that was another one of the... Yeah, this is the guy that's married right now, and he got a daughter. He has 15 lays, 5 models, 5 white girls, 2 actresses, 1 foursome. You can see how he rolls his words, right? They're so close together. Yeah, flirting is better than sexualizing all the time. Like UMP does not work. You only get women that are 3 out of 10. You'll strike out like crazy, and you might only like get a 3 out of 10. But for him, he's Asian, right? So he got nothing out of sexualizing. I told him what to text, so.
So I tried husband material frame, and he wrote, we're going to travel the world together, we're going to Russian and Asian babies, you know, dessert, and like in a big room, and then we had sex. It was one of the best sex ever. She came 3 times. She was so tight, I love it. Like the way she opened up her legs for me to fuck her. So that was the Russian main thing. So I'm happy about that because I've always wanted to be Russian girl. I hate like Spanish girls and Brazilian girls and other girls.
This is his first white girl he ever fucked. Seriously. So after that, I mean, it's a lot of... This has not been released yet either. These testimonials. It's crazy, right? All these testimonials no one's ever heard before. These are all brand new. But these are not new. These are kind of old. I got even newer ones that have never been heard. So for minorities, tonality plays a much bigger role than most realize. It's not just about how you sound. It's about how you're perceived. Women, like all humans, have subconscious preferences for people who fits in their cultural norms. So this isn't about conscious racism or discrimination for whitewashed tonality. It's about deeply ingrained instincts. People feel more comfortable with those who seem like they belong in their in-tribe. Your tonality is too fast or too sharp or too foreign sounding. Hey guys, I'm Asian. Oh, okay. It can trigger discomfort. And this is known as xenophobia. It's not necessarily hostile, but it's more like a subtle sense of unease. Women might not think, oh, he sounds like a foreign, but I'm not interested. Instead, they just feel like they cannot connect with you. And connection is everything in Daygame. And without connection, there is no attraction. Whitewash tonality helps you bypass these subconscious defenses. It's all about sounding neutral and relatable and approachable. So when your tonality is slower and more deliberate, it makes you easier to connect with. Women don't have to work as hard to understand you or feel comfortable around you. Your voice becomes a bridge, not the barrier. And think of it as a learning the local language in a new country. You're not changing who you are. You're just giving yourself the tools to communicate more effectively. And here's the thing. It's not just about tonality, but the entire image you present. Imagine a guy who's completely Asian washed in his style. His tonality and his mannerisms, and he approach a woman, it can freak her out like he Wuhan wash. Yeah, that's a big problem. Make sense? So, have you ever tried night game yourself during your PUA journey? A little bit. I dabble with it, but I didn't really like it. have you ever tracked your approach to close rate? What will you guess is overall? Probably 1 to 1 or 1 to 2. Students are 1 to 6 when they leveled up. So that's roughly what it is. Of course, you might be thinking that's hard, but it's not hard. You just got to keep her on the line. Know when to tease and know when to flirt. Just to keep her on the line. And you don't approach everyone. Because some women are fast walking, they have something to do. You don't have to approach the fast walking ones. The ones that are same day lay sets are the ones you want to approach. And you need to have a perfect body language and social skills flow drill. The more I practice in the mirror and the more I rehearse, the easier it is. So it's not about more approaches, it's more about sharpening the skills. So for me, all the time, I always sharpen my skills. I always rehearse in front of a mirror or audio all the fucking time. So that's how you do it. So it's not about how many approaches you made. It's more like how much can you sharpen the saw so that when you go out in the forest, you can cut down the trees faster. It's about laser focus. That's the big secret. And keeping her on the line is being very observant. So when he approaches a woman, it can freak her out. Not because she's racist, but because it triggers the out-tribe discomfort. And now take the same guy and dress him whitewashed. The same Asian guy, you dress him like a whitewashed guy. And what happened to that white man or that whitewashed Asian guy? She's gonna open up. She won't even know it was the same guy that she ran away from. So don't be part of the out-tribe. So for example, you give him like a whitewash tonality, suddenly the same woman opens up to him. It's not about racism. There is no racism in Daygame. You might feel like, oh, white women are racist. They're not racist. You're dressed like Asian masculinity. You're wearing a black t-shirt with a big, bulky, dirty, bulking body, and you're wearing black jeans and black shoes. What do you expect, right? When you're dressed like a fucking ninja, right? You just dressed like an Asian masculinity person that's only a bulky ninja turtle for nightclubs at the end of the night when there's no women left and they stand out because they're bulky and then they go after Asian women. It's stupid. So there's no racism, but there's a fuck ton of xenophobia. The fear and dislike of other people's culture. Xenophobia. You can freak her the fuck out with xenophobia. So that's why whitewash tonality paired with whitewash image is your fashion is so effective. It's not about erasing your culture. It's about adapting to your environment that you're in. It's about respect of the environment. You look at all the Asians and Indians that flood Toronto. Are they respectful of their culture in Canada? They're not even assimilating. They're just walking in there to Toronto and they're just like, backstabbing and just play loud music everywhere, They play loud music everywhere and they just piss everyone off and they don't even care. So, let's see. How do you track your approach close rate? What will you guess is over? Okay. Wait, the student approached the same girl again with a good game and he was rejected when he got a bad game. Yeah, the person who's like bald and he's like German, 5'7", he got rejected. He pulled her home and she just left. So the second time she saw his slower speech, she saw his perfect body language because it's all like cutting the saw. Does that make sense? And then all of a sudden she got really fucking turned on. And within a few minutes, right away, she says for him to bring her home, but do not hold her hand because he's too ugly in Germany that she don't want to be embarrassed. But once he bring her home, then she looks around and she thought maybe like there was a camera around. So she went to the drawers, everything. There was no camera. And then she just let him fuck her. So yeah, it can happen. The very same person can be like a zombie, then retrained, go out there and close in one approach. The old 52-year-old student got laid in one approach 3 times in a row. 21-year-old, 25, 21. After 2 years, he went to another white dating coach because he thought he learned everything from me. He did not get laid for Daygame. He just wasted his money and it cost like double of whatever he paid me. And then he came back in 1 week, he already got a hand job. The second week, he bangs a 10 out of 10 Megan Fox looking woman, but she is 40 years old. What the fuck? So he fucks a 21, 25, 21, older one for the hand job, like 60 something. And then that 40-year-old stunner. And then he lost his fucking mind because he just lost his mindsets and he no longer was able to operate and made the same mistakes, became delusional. His narcissism got the better of him. So, but that's where he is today. In today's world, this skill is more important than ever. Economic stress, inflation, and societal divisions have made people more protective of their tribe. They're less open to those who seem different. And also those who are zombies, the ones with bad tonalities, the ones that are sighing all the time in their speech. So it's not a conscious choice, it's a reaction to the stress of the times. And now it's the tariff time, it's Donald Trump's tariffs. The first day of the tariffs, the perfect day to make this video. Whitewash tonality allows you to disarm those defenses. It shows women that you're relatable, that you fit in, and that you're someone they can connect with. Some people might push back against this idea. They might say, oh, why should I have to change? They always say that, Asians. Well, it ain't good enough, John. Why do I have to change? Or Indians, why do I have to change? Because, another Indian from Australia is like, what's wrong with my fashion? I do not understand what you're talking about, John. And then afterwards, I made him dress as Indian as possible in Australia. I made him bench-hold wash. I made his hair as curly as possible. I made him grow a bench-hold beard, a big bench-hold beard, and I made him wear white sneakers. I made him wear a dark tapered pants, and I made him approach women that are white, and they were saying, get away from me. Like, ew, you're disgusting. And then he starts wearing a blazer. He starts dressing whitewashed. Women cannot stop talking to him. What the fuck? It's the same person, but they treat him differently. One of them is super attracted, while the other one, they're just freaked out. So, do you approach a girl and she turns you down, can you try again, or does it happen to run into her again? So if you approach a girl and she turns you down, you can try again, or it happened to run? No, I don't approach everybody. I know during the day, right, roughly, not everyone's gonna be the same day late. So it's not like a numbers game. It's like they light up or something. I see that's the same day late set. That's not. So let's say there's 100 women there. None of them are same day late, but 101 is the same day late. Get it? Next 2,000, nobody. 2001, same day late. Next 50, not same day late. Next one, same day late. So I know exactly which set in the crowd is the same day late. So that way I don't have to approach that many. There are ways to tell, but I can't tell you unless you're part of my coaching. So, but yeah, there's a strategy behind it. I hope that makes sense. I know who to approach, who will end up in the bedroom. I could tell by the way she walks, the way she behaves, the things that gives it away. So they might say, why should I have to change the way I fit in? You need a fit check. And I get that. But this isn't about fairness. It's about reality. The world isn't going to change overnight. People will always have subconscious biases. You can either let those biases hold you back, or you can adapt and overcome them. Think of it as a strategy. And if you know the rules of the game, you can play to win. And whitewash tonality is one of those rules. And don't spam approach, right? What the fuck? It's a way to level up the playing field. And if you go direct, right, you can get rejected 100 times as a minority. It doesn't matter what your energy or vibe is. If you're a short little fucking Indian and Asian and you give a direct compliment and validation, you're off the line. You'll be rejected 100 times or 101 times. That's the truth. Hybrid opener. All right. To give yourself the edge, to create opportunities that may not otherwise exist. This isn't about women either. The benefits of whitewash tonality extends far beyond Daygame. It can help you in your career, in networking, in any situation where you need to make a strong impression. Your tonality reflects your emotional state and your confidence and your ability to connect with others. And when you mastered it, you're not just improving your communications, you're elevating your entire presence. Whitewash tonality is slower and more deliberate and more neutral. It's not overly sharp or aggressive, but it's also not weak or timid. It's calm, it's confident, and it's composed. It's the kind of voice that makes people want to listen. that makes them feel like you're someone that they can trust and that they can relate to. And here's the key. Whitewash tonality isn't about erasing who you are. It's about amplifying the best parts of yourself in a way that resonates with others. It's about creating smoother connections, breaking down barriers, opening doors in a world that's more divided and stressed than ever. This kind of adaptability is a superpower. It's what allows you to stand out, to connect, and to succeed. And for minorities, it's the most valuable skill you can develop. Whitewash tonality isn't just a technique, it's a mindset. It's about understanding the social dynamics around you, taking responsibility for your success, and doing what it takes to achieve your goals. It's about playing the game to win. And when you master it, the results speak for themselves. So basically, let's see, who else has a very whitewashed tonality? Let's see. Our girl's good. Seems like the appropriate clothes and fashion do a lot of the heavy lifting for you. The way they think about it is that if you dress whitewashed, if you dress like a fuckboy, right? You're in the fuckboy frame, you're gonna do like hundreds to thousands of approaches because you're wearing a stupid sneaker, tight jeans, and curly hair like a Gen Z. You're probably not gonna get laid. Like Coach Kyle, which only has 3 laid testimonials. And you know, it's gonna be like a huge numbers game. If you dress like in that boyfriend-girlfriend frame, like you try to be in that frame, you're gonna have to use alcohol with romantic flirts because you don't fit in the boyfriend-girlfriend frame, and you have to escalate hard in the bedroom with alcohol. But that's not very transferable because not everyone is in the boyfriend and girlfriend frame. And then you start to look at other things like the social circle friend zone frame, the friend zone guy. That's a bad frame to be in. Then you got the husband material. Most women wants to get married. That's their biggest desire. They can have tall boyfriends, 12 of them for the boyfriend frame. You'll never fit in the boyfriend frame if you're Asian. But however, you could fit in the potential husband frame, and that puts you number 1. So it makes it easier to get laid in 1 to 6 approaches. The husband material fashion and the whitewash fashion is what bypasses the defenses. That's how all the students are able to get laid in 1 to 6 approaches. They also level up their skills. The social skills is up 2.5 points. The social calibration is up 2.5, and their game is up 2.5 points. So that's 7.5 points extra. Despite the aeroscience, maneuver, sexualized objections looping, none of that shit works without the other 3. And husband material and whitewash fashion. You're onto something with your question. So a student can reopen the same girl again after he tried before and failed? Probably not, because that's the wrong set. That's not a same day lay set. All right, let's continue. So the transformation. Now that you understand the 6 issues, let's talk about the transformation. When you fix your tonality, everything changes, especially this year for 2025 during the Trump tariffs. If your tonality sounds very stressed out and you're sighing, then women will be turned off. That's why no matter what, the other dating coaches cannot get their students laid because their students are sighing like crazy. Women start responding to you differently when you start projecting a high status, confident, whitewash tonality. Suddenly interactions that used to feel forced and awkward, you know, in the fuckboy frame with their crazy Gen Z hair and then the mass approaching, it starts to flow naturally with the social skills flow drill. You notice women are leaning in, engaging more, and initiating conversation, and they're stuck on the line moving from venue to venue back at home. Why? Because tonality is one of the most important, powerful signals of value that you can send. It's not about how you sound, it's about where you are communicating emotionally. Tonality is the bridge between the words and the feelings. And when your tonality is off, women can sense it immediately. Like an alarm going in their own subconscious head, like those ABCs of attraction students when they sound like a bunch of narcissists who are beta male cucks who can only do night game, dressing in black fashion, Asian wash, telling them something isn't right. That's what the women feels like. They feel like they just don't trust them somehow. They might not consciously think, oh, his tonality is bad, but they'll feel it. It's almost like an alarm that goes off inside their head. And that feeling is enough to make them lose interest. So when your tonality is flat, weak, or uncalibrated, it signals low survival value when you're stressed out like a Latino. It tells women that you're not confident, you're not in control, you have no survival value. If she procreated with you, their kids in general will be a bunch of snowflakes with very bad genes and cortisol issues. It doesn't matter how good looking you are, she's gonna run. So when your tonality is on point, it is a game changer. It's not just the worth 2.5 points on your 20 out of 35 score. It can also prevent you from losing 2.5 points or minus 2.5. That's right. You could be minus 2.5 if your tonality is off. What's the best way to record approaches for review? Most of my students they just get it from their phone. I don't know how they do it, but they just put in their pocket or they just hold it on their hands. But you can connect it to earphones around your neck or something, and that'll give you a better audio. But already just holding the phone on your left hand is enough to get the audio anyway, so, you know. It's not perfect audio or anything, but it's kind of quiet, but you still can hear what they're saying. So, use the phone to film for a few seconds. Call to film for a few seconds. I don't know what that means. Let's see here. Think about it for a second. If your tonality is bad, it just doesn't just fail to add value. It actively subtracts from it. So this is the problem in 2025, is that the Latino depressed tonality and also the angry tonality is taking away from people's, you know, their approaches. I remember one student that sounded a little bit angry, but he still got laid. Let's see if I can find him. Like, he's a virgin. He lost his virginity. So he was kind of pissed off by it, but... where is he? There's too many testimonials. I'm scrolling down like all the way. I'm just wondering, like, where the fuck am I gonna find it? How many fucking video testimonials do I have? I have like 40 more. So you saw some of it that has not been released. Okay, I'm pretty sure it's somewhere. This guy. All right.
This is a video testimonial for John Elite.
This guy was a little bit angry, but then he changed his tonality, and that's what got him laid along with the body language. He actually has a decent whitewash tonality, but he was a little bit angry.
And basically, my experience with game is I've been doing it for 2 years. I've followed.
There's a hole in my jacket. Can you cut a hole in your pocket aligned with the camera? Oh, I see what you mean. Yeah. So you can use a lawmate, right? This is if you really want infields, right? You can use like one of those button cameras and put it inside here and tape it inside here. And then you can connect it to a special device or something to record. So that's one way of doing it, a lawmate through here. But that's very expensive. The lawmate is like several $100s, like $500. But that's one way of doing it, unless you want a cheap pinhole camera, but the audio might be shit. But there's many ways to do it, but yeah. All right. Listen to his voice. You can hear a little bit angry, but you can hear it whitewashed.
Every red pill dating coach you can think of on YouTube, RSD.
Latinos cannot hear it. They're like, what do you mean by angry? He sounds normal to me. It's like, oh, emotional blindness.
Todd Valentine, 33 Secrets, Alpha Male Strategies, Lucario Fan, Squat and Casanova. You name it, I probably watched some of their videos. And what separates John from all the other dating coaches is he actually recognizes social issues that students have, right? Because here's the problem. It's three things mainly. One, the dating coach is a natural, right? So he already had...
They don't have any naturals as dating coaches. I know the naturals. They're different. They don't even think you can teach it for a living. They're like, you teach day game for a living? You can actually do that? Like, you can actually make a job out of it? That's crazy. So his statement is wrong. These are fake naturals.
Social skills and social calibrations since like he was 5. So he expects other students to have it, and he can't teach it because he never had to learn it himself, and he just doesn't see how he can do it. 2, the day coach has Asperger's or autism himself. That way, he doesn't have social skills either. So he just uses socio skills, techniques and strategies that only work on his body type, or he's just a liar and a fraud, right? Or 3, the dating coach gives you a bunch of like flowery bullshit language, like be yourself, be nice to a girl, right? Which doesn't work. But John will
Or you need energy game, whatever the fuck that means.
really push you.
It's like a white person vibing their SMV for their emotions. At a fucking Asian country.
I was having difficulty approaching girls, and I had like 20-word conversations because I'd only done game on a college campus before, right? But a college campus is kind of a crutch. It's more of a warm approach than it is cold. You're pre-selected because you're students, right? A lot of conversational topics are just set up for you. For example, classes, studying, ongoing campus events. But I got laid in less than 30 approaches on the street, right? It's not a numbers game. Like this, it's all bullshit. It's not a numbers game, right? I mean, a little bit. You need to get skills, is what it is.
Exactly.
So you need to put in some numbers to improve your skills, but you don't need to be going out there and doing like 200 approaches to get laid, right?
Well, these days, if you do 200 approaches going direct in North America, you're just gonna get 200 rejections because your tonality is off. So, does a natural exhibit all the elements? 100%. Elite 30 is actually the Bible of the naturals. So one guy from Europe who's black and he's wearing blazers, and he's like pretty good looking guy, very tall, like 6'3". His brother's a natural, and he's a natural too. He says that Elite 30 is 100% like them, and you find a way to codify what the naturals do. So you guys don't realize, you might think, oh, social calibrations like zombie. Where's the push-pull tactics? Where's all the techniques, right? Don't you have to push-pull? Indians are like, don't you have to push-pull? Like, shut the fuck up. It's like, what they don't understand is that it is actually secretly the Bible of naturals. Exactly their body language, 100% identical. So there's no difference. And they say, like, I can't believe it, because they felt like it was automatic pilot when they're doing it. They don't know why it works, but they say this is the most amazing course they have ever seen in their life. And you figured it out, and they find a way to utilize it. They don't know why it works. They just know that it works. So I hope that was a good mindset.
You just practice your skills in a mirror.
You cannot buy Elite 30 this year anymore. You have to buy it with Elite Bundle 2. But Elite Bundle 2 has morphed into Elite Bundle Resurrections. So that comes with Elite Tonality Mastery, a 21-day challenge. And a bunch of, like, over 10 hours worth of video about tonality. This is brand new, guys. These are stuff I've never taught to the public or spoken about on YouTube Live until right now. This is the first day I've ever spoken about all this emotional stuff. This is all new. The stuff you're learning today, all brand new. You've never heard this before. You're like, well, why you keep secrets from us, John? Because that's what keeps me as the best day game coach in the world. That means you've only, right now, by knowing this, you've only learned like roughly 25% of my system. You're like, well, there's another 75%? Of course, I keep it secret for elite access and the Skypes and the inner circle. I don't fucking teach everyone. You don't need all this stuff. Even that black student with 100 lays or the other UMP UFO instructor, my student, not their game, just because they're instructor for them doesn't validate their system. He got 150 lays here from 33. My system. These instructors. So, but they only learn like a fucking 15% of it. That leads to 8 lay testimonials for the black guy. But if he learned like 30%, he'd become very lethal. He'll be the most dangerous, second most dangerous day game coach next to me. He'll crush everybody. That's why he wants to learn more from me. He does not fully understand it. He doesn't have the same mental filter, the brain. So this stream is 10 out of 10. Thank you very much. Dude, this is just day 1 of the challenge, right? Wait until you see day 2. I'm still writing the fucking script. If this is 10 out of 10, right? Imagine what it's going to be tomorrow. It's going to be even crazier.
It won't take you that long, right? Because there's a lot of ongoing issues right now, like COVID, right? I live in California, so there's wildfires, so there's a lot less people on the street, like basically almost no one on the streets because it's really smelly outside. And when you're talking to a girl, you need to just look like you care. Like you need to make
emotional intelligence, yeah.
Correct thing.
You gotta be curious about her. If you're not curious, right, and you're emotionally blind, right, and you see all these tall guys that go to Latin countries, they don't have any empathy or any sort of care. They just go out there, give direct compliments. They speak like a super fucking song. He's talking super fast as they can, blah, 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 and they collect phone numbers. That flakes. And then they go through so many flakes, and the women's always like below their looks level.
Facial expressions. You need to have perfect body language, right? And your voice needs to not be like creepy as fuck, right? Because that was the problem I had before. I just came off creepy as fuck because I just sat weird. I was standing wrong, right? You need to stand 45 degrees.
Yeah, 45 degrees. If you square off and give a direct compliment, you put a lot of pressure on her. If you stand 45 degrees, right? The cortisol of the woman will lower because you're not squaring off. Imagine a big black dude squaring off to her. Scares the shit out of her. But if he was standing 45 degrees, then she's never gonna be afraid. Because you're not threatening. Wait, I shouldn't tell them that much, right? I should keep it a secret.
But the girl that I lost my virginity to, I approached her in a boba shop, right? I was like, excuse me, is anyone sitting here? Because she was sitting down, and I sat next to her, and we talked about COVID and ongoing events and things of that nature. And there was barely any game, honestly. Like, none of it was direct. Like, didn't bring up anything sexual at all. Eventually I just asked her, are you hungry, right? And she's like, yeah. And then we went and got sushi. We went to her hotel room, and I was like, holy shit, right? Am I about to same day lay? Am I about to lose my virginity to this? And I was like, oh yeah, I am. And so we're walking in there, we're watching Netflix, right? Eating our sushi. I go to the restroom, right? After we finish, I come out, she's laying on the bed. I lie next to her. I just use a little bit of Kino. Wham bam. I'm taking her clothes off, pulling on the condom. She gave me head before that. And then I pull on the condom, and I'm smashing her. And everything's cool. You know, we exchanged numbers, and we're getting Korean barbecued next week, right? And I leave. I was like, whoa, dude. Like, you need to fix these other problems, and the girl won't think you're creepy. And it's a lot easier that way. Other dating coaches, they don't know what the fuck they're talking about. They don't know. Like,
no matter how many times I tell you guys, how many advice videos, I think you like the new ones, right? They're really cool. It's actually unbrainwashing you. The more advice videos I post of the other one, the new advice video series that you guys see in the video section, then you wake up, you're like, oh shit, this is different. This is not the same as white dating coaches. John is Daygame Jesus dropping a like. Thank you very much. That like is gonna go right through the algorithms, man.
Or they just lie to you. All I did was use Elite 30. Like, honestly, I barely looked at John's playbook. I probably will in the future. But fix your social skills. You get laid, like, really, really fast. Like, at least that's what's happened with me, and I think it'll happen. Because I'm not perfect, right? I know I still need improvement, right? Once you do that, you're good to go.
I mean, he has a good whitewash tonality. It just didn't work for him until now. He had to work on his social skills and social calibrations. That's 5 points back then. And same day lays. Loses his virginity. It was that easy. And he was in California, you know? Wildfires and stuff happens all the time there. So, yeah. Let's see here. So basically, if you have the wrong tonality, it makes you weaker and less confident, less attractive. But when your tonality is good, it does the opposite. It makes you look stronger and more confident and more high value. And here's the kicker. When your tonality is on point, you can hide weaknesses in other areas. Maybe your looks aren't 10 out of 10, right? Maybe your financial situation isn't where you want it to be. Or maybe your social skills needs work. It doesn't matter. When your tonality is strong, it compensates for those weaknesses, like a cheat code for attraction. When women can perceive you as a high value, even if you're not perfect in every arena. That's the power of tonality. It's not just about adding points to your score. It's about creating a presence that commands respect and attention. And here's something else to think about. Okay, here's the big secret, guys. So, you said playbook elevate you over the Elite 30. No, the very first thing was the Elite playbook when I released it. A long time ago. So in 2016, I made the first version. I had, my very first student was an Asian guy from Australia. And he was a big fan of mine. I don't know how he became a fan, but he kept listening to everything I wrote and stuff. And he started bench holding because he disappeared. He crashed out. And he disappeared for like a couple months. So I had to, he paid me for like fucking 5 Skypes. And I got all this money and I said, oh, I better make him a course, right? And give him some Skypes back. That's how an Elite Playbook happened. So Elite Playbook was first. It was like the Old Testament. Elite 30 was the Newer Testament. Hope that makes sense. So Elite 30 is newer and is more like powerful than the Playbook. Playbook is only like 2.5 points per game. The only game you need to know is maneuver, sexualize it to the maximum for sexual objections. So you don't have to use alcohol. And deal with these sexual objections only. Don't deal with the logistical ones, only the sexual ones, and you get laid. This guy did not need to use the arrow science. But that's all the gaming that you need to understand. Everything else is just a waste of fucking time. Push pose, fuck you. Direct game, fuck you. Validation, fuck you. Number close, fuck you. Not you guys, but I'm just saying that to the concepts. That's bullshit. If you think that works, then where are all the other dating coaches lay testimonials? The only thing you see is maybe a white guy may get laid in an Asian country with some ugly Filipina. And they call that, these white coaches will call themselves a god. They'll scale their business. They'll take over the industry. Over what? A fucking ugly square jaw Filipina? Come on now. He's a white dude. White guys could bang fucking Asians easily. There's no... in a fucking third world country. And that's what they're bragging about. And the rest is just optics. They don't even... They say, oh, you got infields, right? Where the fuck are the same day lay infields? There's none for these white coaches. There's none. There's zero. And then they start bragging how great they are. And they start boosting other platform scammers. They say, these guys are great coaches. They don't even have more than fucking 2 late testimonials. 3 is the most for those guys. Like Todd V has 3 late testimonials, or fucking Coach Kyle. How are they still able to teach? If that's good coaching, then what does 660 laid and po testimonials mean? Godlike? I don't like. It's not difficult. Just don't be zombies. Oh, it's energy game. It's like, no, it's not. If you only got like one fucking person laid with ugly Filipinas, that's energy game. Well, where are your little Asians and little Indians, right? Where are they? Like, they don't get fucking any results. So, all right, so we're almost done. So here's the big secret. All right, 55% of your communication is nonverbal. Like, really? If you break it down secretly, the chart is 55% is nonverbal, 38% is your tonality, and the game, right, the script, 7 fucking %. and you're like, that's bullshit. No. I'll prove it to you that's real. Okay? I'll prove it. So 55% non-verbal. Just to make sure it's not bullshit. Non-verbal. 38%. We'll see if there's any. All right. The 7-38-55 rule suggests that when communicating feelings, 7% of the meaning is conveyed through words. 38% through your tone of voice and 55% through your body language. Don't you see? Shouldn't you be starting with Elite 30 and then you start with Elite Tonality Mastery, which is part of the Elite Bundle Resurrections? Don't you see? Don't you see? Here's the breakdown. 7% actual words used to contribute to the least to the overall meaning. 38%, your tone of voice, pitch, rhythm, volume plays a significant role in conveying meaning and emotions. 55% body language, including facial expressions, gestures, posture, accounts for the largest portion of the meaning conveyed. So that guy from Toronto that banged a white girl and then he went to Mexico and got 6 lays. Yeah, he couldn't speak the fucking language, but he got laid with 6 women in 1 to 6 approaches because of the 55%. Don't you get it? And when he's not monotoned, it becomes like 38%. So this is not bullshit. This system is very scientific because it works. So that's the thing. 38% is your tonality, what you say. I mean, how you say it. And 7% is your actual words. That means mystery method routines and words do not work. All these scripts that you read, they don't work. Todd V, the scripts, they don't work. And that's huge. It means gaming by itself, lines, scripts, routines isn't enough. You can't have the perfect lines. I mean, you can have the perfect lines, but your tonality and your body language don't back them up. Like most of the pickup artists, they fall flat. So the question is, are you ready to take control? Are you ready to stop letting cortisol, inflation, and tonality issues hold you back? Better get some fucking L-theanine. $9. Amazon. $9.99. 120 L-theanine. Because here's the reality. The world isn't getting easier. Economic stress, social division, and the far left woke. The personal challenges aren't going away. If anything, they're getting worse. And if you're not adapting, you're falling behind. But the good news is that you don't have to be a victim of circumstances. You don't have to let external factors define your success. You can take control. You can master your tonality. And when you do, everything else falls into place. Tonality isn't just about sounding good. It's about projecting strength, confidence, and emotional control. It's about showing women that you're someone that they can trust, someone that they can rely on, and someone worth fucking or investing in. So when you master tonality, you're not just improving your communications, you're transforming your entire presence. You're becoming the kind of man who commands respect and attention wherever he goes. The kind of man who doesn't just survive, like most of the guys who are during the inflation crashing out, but they thrive no matter what challenges come their way. Tonality is destiny. It's the foundation of how you perceive and how you connect with others. And the best part is, it's something you can control. You don't need to be born with it. You don't need to have perfect looks or perfect job or a perfect life. All you need is the willingness to learn and to practice and to improve. And while you're on the subject, I want to bring to your attention something that you may not have thought about before. Don't let the inflation or the tariffs today bring you down. These are real stressors and they affect everyone, but they also create division and make it harder to connect with women. This is why other dating coaches don't have students getting laid consistently like I do. Their students aren't building real connection. They're not even getting married like my students. They're not procreating like my students. Why? Because these coaches never address the deeper issues like tonality or social calibrations, social skills, and emotional control. They're stuck teaching lines and routines or some fucking energy game. It's not night game, guys. But game by itself is not enough either. you're relying on words alone. You're missing the bigger picture. So the question is, will you take the steps? Will you commit to mastering your tonality and taking control of your destiny? Because once you do, everything changes. The way women respond to you, the way people treat you, the way you see yourself, it all starts with tonality. It's time to claim yours. That's all I gotta say for today. This is challenge number 1, the first prediction. If you really like this, give it a thumbs up. Come back tomorrow at 4 p.m. Pacific time. I'll see you guys in the next challenge. I'm gonna take this video and I'm gonna move it to the video section right now, as fast as I can, and I'm gonna grab something to eat. But tonality is destiny. All right, thank you for being here. And yes, I'm gonna move this video from my profile on the Facebook to for the Facebook group too. So they're gonna get the video. All right, so let's do this. I'll grab something to eat. This is the end of the video. Let me upload it to the video section, and maybe I'll take this one down or keep it up for a few days. I might take this one down eventually, so you better watch it while you still can, or secretly save it or something, you know, and then try to take notes. But that's the end. All right, thank you for being here. I'm gonna use the same setup. This, what's it called? Restream, whatever it's called. I'm gonna use this thing again, although I only have 720p here. And we're gonna show up in multiple places. And I'm happy that you guys are here. I'm happy you guys think this is a 10 out of 10. How should we start? Number 1. So let's go back to quick questions, right? All of them. So the first one is let's just go backwards quickly. How to start. The first thing you want to do is to grab L-theanine. Let me see back. When you can complete the task, then that way, connect a default microphone. Did I use the wrong one? Hopefully it's stuck to this one. Hopefully they can hear me, but get some. Why are you saying that? Okay. You got to treat every task that you complete fully, right? Like a bank account, emotional bank account. Every task you finish, you get like 2 or 3 points or coins or gold coins. You deposit into your piggy bank, your emotional bank account. If you procrastinate, you take away those coins. So you try to make sure you do the task first. Get everything done. That's your first step. Before you even do any sort of Elite 30 or you do like Elite Tonality Mastery or anything like that, make sure you can build the emotional bank account so that way you can lower the ego and raise the self-esteem. So that's a great question. So how do we start? Okay, and here's the end of the captions. I wrote this one. See you in the next challenge. Is that cool? It says right here, see you in the next challenge over here. All right. So see you guys next challenge. We'll be here exactly the same time.